Welcome to Conspiracy Playtime Podcast.
Some people actually believe that the world is run by shape-shifting alien reptiles.
No fucking way.
I think just the whole podcast is rated R.
Will there be titty?
What the fuck is a conspiracy theory?
When two separate events occur simultaneously pertaining to the same object of inquiry, we must always pay strict attention.
The only Jewish conspiracy there is that I'm circumcised.
And there's this guy from the CIA and he's creeping around Laurel Canyon.
So anyone at any given time could be infected, don't even know it, and feel perfectly well. That's really the nature of science.
Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
We need to get the fuck out of here!
Fixing that testing regime, we need to have that in place before we move to that next phase.
I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
I strongly believe that. I do as well.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
The FBI killed Martin Luther King.
And it's fucking making sense to me now.
How many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci!
If our own government was responsible for the deaths of almost 100,000 people, would you really want to know?
Yeah.
Roll up your sleeves, take your shot, wear your mask, and please stay safe out there.
Hello, conspiracy players. Welcome to another episode. This one being a reunion of sorts. We have three returning guests. John Gusty, Ryan Dean, and Julia from Cosmic Peach Podcast. Ryan Dean from a number of podcasts. And we're going to be talking about probably all sorts of stuff today. But to bring it to like a focal point right off the bat, before we started recording, we were talking about these big staged events that have happened throughout history. And then there seems to be one going on right now. And I'll give each of you your time to kind of wrap up what your thoughts are about it. We did it briefly, but we could really dive into it now. And John, if you want to start with some of the stuff you were saying before.
Oh, about Luigi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about, staged events and I said, yeah, there seems to be one happening in real time right now. Because I always, after I assassinate someone, I ditch my backpack, peace out for 5 days, but still keep my manifesto and the gun I used on me. That just doesn't sound plausible. Plus, anytime mainstream media jumps on something with such fervor, it just a red flag to me. This kind of people get whacked all the time, and I started thinking about this back in the day, like remember the John Benet Ramsey case?
You're gonna get her going now.
I did like a 3-part series on John Benet Ramsey. And, well, wait a second, John. You read Program to Kill, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He has a chapter on John Benet in there because it's so fucked up.
Well, but I didn't even know who Dave McGowan was back when that happened. But when it happened, I did go, this type of stuff happens every day, multiple times a day, all over, probably within 10 miles of anybody right now, as we speak. That exact same thing happens. So why does this one case get such, again, across the board network participation, and all of a sudden it's a thing, and so this whole CEO whacking thing just seems like another one of those. Like people get whacked all the time. And what I think this is I think this is setting the table for a lot of these corporate bigwigs to peace out legitimately or illegitimately. And when we start talking about some of the entertainment stuff, like is Bowie really dead? Is Petty really dead? Is Prince really dead? Or did they negotiate their contract out and just pieced out, so that, I think that kind of stuff, this whole Luigi thing, it's just not what they say it is. I don't think that at the very least, I think as far as I'll go right now is it might be an MK Ultra type of thing where, that kid was, for whatever reason, I don't know his family connections or whatever, but it's, what was the, I'm blanking on the kid's name, the shooter, was it James something, that the shooter that went and did the job and then went and sat in the car and waited for the police, or like in the DC sniper case,
the Colorado one.
Yeah. Or in the DC sniper case where the official gets on TV and he says the code words or whatever, and then the person turns themselves in, not too far after. So it might be an MK Ultra thing at best, but I don't think that.
Is this the same one that was like eating a fucking fish fillet and fucking?
Yeah. Well, as a hash brown.
A hash brown. Fuck them.
Everybody was hoping it was the McRib because to me, like, these Psy-Ops now have corporate
McRib,
like corporate funding, like Starbucks and McDonald's both like come up in these headlines constantly. He did Starbucks before the killing, got caught in a McDonald's. And it's like, yeah.
Did you see the meme going around? It's a fake Burger King meme that says Burger King, we don't snitch.
That should be real, great. Actually.
God,
Ryan, what are some of your thoughts on it initially?
On this, what's his name? Mangione? I always struggle
Luigi
so hard
Mangione.
With Italian names. Yeah, you got to say it like it's a dish when you're saying a
think of Chuck Mangione.
Names,
remember
right?
the trumpet guy from the 70s? Chuck Mangione?
Oh, okay. So that's how you say it, Mangione.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, man. First of all, Gusty, you said a lot of stuff there, man. I hope Tom Petty's not dead. I know that they say he is, but I mean, I love Tom Petty, man. That's my desert island artist right there. But I know we're still not going to get to listen to him. So, no new music coming out. As far as this thing goes, man, it's interesting to me because everything that you're saying makes so much sense, right? We're not. If one of us was going to go and do something illegal, especially high profile like that, you're not going to like keep a bullet point list of how you did it, why you did it. You're not going to keep the gun with supposedly the silencer that was on there, or the suppressor, I should say. But if you're trying to do something high profile and you want to get recognition for it, I think that you would keep some of that stuff on you so that you could almost have that stardom about what you did, and you can have you can gain attention, and you can be like, yeah, I did this and it was a noble reason why I did it. For the record, I don't think that they got the right guy. I don't think that that's who did it. It just doesn't make sense. I feel like when these kinds of things happen, especially to high profile people, the people that get caught so quickly afterwards, it's to almost deter other people from going out and doing similar things, because there's a lot of people that saw something like that happen. And they're like, yeah, more CEOs, more politicians need to be afraid to walk around in the street. So it's almost to deter people from, copying this guy, doing this similar kind of stuff. But it's all so confusing, and I'm not as deep into the conspiracy world as I used to be. So I'm not researching all these little intricacies and all these coincidences, if you want to call them that. But yeah, something's very fishy about it. And did you guys see the whole thing with 286 that's going around?
Yes.
It's everywhere right now.
Yeah, we just featured that in my other show, and it was like a kid on TikTok put together. It might be the same thing you saw.
Yeah.
And yeah, the numbers in these very high profile news stories are always fun to pay attention to. You get like my co-host on this show, he's a huge gematria guy, and then I know Ryan, you talk about the numerology of things a lot. And yeah, what 286, it is weird how many times it can come up.
Right. And like so it goes as deep as like on his Twitter, he had the freaking 286 Pokemon in his header up there.
Banner,
and it's
yeah.
Breloom. I don't know what Breloom is, but like just a quick description of this thing, for what it's worth. It's basically like a little freaking green mushroom looking guy. Did I cut out?
No, I was trying to give you the option to share your screen, and I started sharing my screen.
Oh, I can share it if you want.
If you're going to talk about something you're looking at, I'm just going to give you the option. It's your choice.
Well, let's pull it up. Yeah, so this is this guy. This is Breloom. It'd be great if his height was 322, but it's 311. Yeah, he's a mushroom Pokemon. I mean, that could, if you're trying to like pull strings and like figure out some weird kind of shit that you can point fingers to, mushrooms are hallucinogenic, right? Big fan of mushrooms. But just to me, man, they had a description up here of what he does. It knocks out foes with quick, virtually invisible punches. It scatters poisonous spores and throws powerful punches, while its foe is hampered by inhaled spores, I would assume is what it continues saying there. So, like I said, man, there's just a lot of weird things. The denial code for his procedure, he had like some neck procedure. The denial code for insurance was 286. The McDonald's was 286 miles away from the killing spot. His fucking cousin follows 286 people on Twitter. There was just 286 over and over again. It was weird.
Do you think though that the people that craft and launch these are initiatives, these are marketing initiatives, and if like we can all wrap our heads around the fact that there are normal people that work everyday jobs creating video games, hiding deep ass Easter eggs and all sorts of stuff, because that's what makes the games compelling. And I mean, some of these things are deep, and it's like if we do that with video games, and we do, I mean, again, it's people's jobs to create these story. I'm talking video games now. There's people's jobs to create these storylines and hide these Easter eggs and make all of this. And I mean, and that's happened hundreds of thousands of times. How many video games are there? And there's some ones that are really fucking deep. Why wouldn't we do that with, we know the news narratives are created. I mean, at least a vast majority of them are. I mean, every so often something real does happen, but these type of things, like, why wouldn't they hide some Easter eggs and stuff in there to make it interesting so that we, get caught up in that kind of stuff when, and it kind of throws you off what it actually is all about. And, I don't know, were we talking, off camera or on camera when I was saying that? I think this is just the whetting of the appetite for the general the general narrative of being pissed at corporate America, because I think regardless of whatever team people find themselves on, whether you're on the red team or the blue team or the yellow team, whatever team you're on, I think everybody can agree en masse that the powers that shouldn't be need to go or severely change the way that they're doing things. So it's a worldwide appetite to hate these motherfuckers, to hate these corporate motherfuckers, and there's a lot of them in vulnerable positions right now. So especially with we're new season of America's Next Top President coming up here, real soon, and a whole new cast, and there's going to be some narratives changing and moving around, and the public, the worldwide public, is hungry for something. Something's got to happen. And so, I don't know, I'm just kind of playing this out as if I was writing a movie. You know, you got this new character coming in going, I'm going to clean house and make things better, and I'm going to get all the bad people and blah, blah. Well, if that's really happening, the bad people are shitting their pants, knowing that that's about to happen. And so they need a way out. And so could this just be an event, a pop culture event that is taking place to make it kind of dumb you, not dumb you down, but numb you or get you used to, get the masses used to the idea of corporate people being whacked or disappearing or going to jail or bad things happening to the corporate people, because that seems to be where the narratives are going in that direction. And we're not used to. I mean, just look at what just happened through the scamdemic. There were a significant number of people on this earth that were worshiping and listening to every word that the corporate structure was telling them to do. They were injecting themselves with things, and they were wearing things, and they were doing everything the corporate structure was telling them to do. And now the narrative is changing, and now corporate structure might be having to pay for some of its sins. I mean, in real life, look at what's happened in the last month. I mean, in the last month, you've got the Dutch government official publicly admitted, you know, that the COVID pandemic was a NATO operation. You know, I mean, that's actual headline news. And then here in the States in the last couple of weeks, that 520-page report by the Oversight Committee pretty much saying that everything about the scamdemic was bullshit. So you've got the U.S. government admitting it was bullshit. You've got the Dutch government admitting it was bullshit. Dr. Hay, I believe it was, in Australia just the other day, was vindicated by their superior court. You know, he was kind of one of the guys there in Australia saying, you know, this is all bullshit. This is all bullshit. He was just vindicated. So now the Australian government is admitting that it was all bullshit. So there's a lot of change, and it's not because of the Trump thing. I mean, that's maybe part of it.
Commander Warp Speed.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of change coming. It's going to have the public is expecting things to change. And if the shit doesn't change, I think then there's a real possibility for an actual revolutionary mindset, maybe. Because your average everyday, just looking in America, your average everyday American right now is doing one of two things, going, well, if you were a blue people, you know, one of the blue people, you're going, oh, everything sucks. You know, I guess in January the trucks are going to come around and round up all the women and gays and take them to the camps, which of course is not going to happen. But there's some people that think that. But if you're a red person, you're expecting some shit to happen, and there's a lot of red people expecting some shit to happen. And if shit doesn't happen, you're going to have a lot of pissed. The blue people are already pissed off. Then you're going to have a lot of pissed off red people going, what the you know? And so I think the corporate structure has been planning their exit and their downfall for a while now. But I think this is where it hits mainstream, and I think this Luigi Mangione thing is maybe where it hits mainstream. This is the beginning of a lot of weird corporate exits and whackings, and you know, just like in the music industry, when somebody wants to retire, behind the scenes they want to retire, but in the front of the camera they die, and they die off. And what's the best thing for a musician's career is to die. And then you sell tons of stuff, and now you're a legacy artist. And you know, Jimi Hendrix sold a fuck of a lot more product being dead. Did I say Jimi Hendrix or Morgan Freeman?
Same thing.
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix has sold a lot more product dead than he did alive.
They go to jail too, right? I mean, you see this with P. Diddy and possibly Jay-Z coming up here. Like, I don't think that's P. Diddy that's actually in jail. If you look at the freaking picture, he doesn't have the same facial features, all that stuff. Now, it's embarrassing to go to jail the way that P. Diddy did, but at the same time, it's probably still better for his career, right? Because I'm trying to find a pattern here, because you're saying that, you know, this will be something that's more and more frequent in the media, that we're going to see killings or disappearances or whatever of these high profile figures. And there could be a little bit of a pattern forming with those three at least.
Yeah. And honestly, I think there's a whole other thing we could talk about. I don't think you're going to actually see jail time, because these characters that are committing these crimes are fictional characters. And I think the last time we talked, I used the example of Seinfeld because he actually didn't change his name. So there is the fictional character of Seinfeld who lives in the apartment across the way from Kramer, and Elaine and George come over. There's that fictional character, but that Seinfeld doesn't really exist. That's a fictional character. That is a piece of media property. Somebody owns that Seinfeld. I think Larry David probably owns that Seinfeld. So that fictional Seinfeld is a piece of intellectual property that is owned by somebody. And then there's the real Jerry Seinfeld that is sitting. We could go knock on his door and have coffee with him right now. Well, there isn't really a P. Diddy. Sean Combs might not even be his real name. That might just be his corporate stage name, if you will, which is why a lot of these celebrities have stage names, because they're not real entities. Like my real name is John Gusty, but if I had a stage name and I was, Ricky Fire, if that was my name, and Ricky Fire went out and raped a bunch of women and stole a bunch of money, you can't prosecute Ricky Fire because Ricky Fire doesn't exist. He's a character. You know what I mean? And there's and the same system that owns and controls the courts owns and controls all the copyrights and all of that stuff. So it's an enclosed system. So if you're in on it, if you're one of those characters, you're not gonna see any jail time. I mean, they might every once in a while they might throw like a bone to the unsuspecting public and lock somebody up, on camera. Oh, there's somebody in jail. But are these people really sitting in jail in real life? I don't think so.
I have a huge question for you about that. I want Julia to get in on what we were just talking about, and then John, you gave me a perfect segue with that because it's something I wanted to bring up. Huge on this episode. But anyway, do you have anything to wrap up on the Luigi?
I was just thinking, I think we're all living in the most interesting season of American Horror Story. I think all this stuff is fake. People can disagree with me, but it's like you were saying, they play a character and there's the real person and then the character that we all see. And I really, really do think even with stuff like this that it's all fake and it's all staged and it's all to we're just hitting a climactic moment in the season and then, we'll see what happens later on. But I think a lot of this, even with P. Diddy and they're not going to jail. That's probably not even him. They made a freaking Netflix movie. What was it, this year or last year? About they cloned Tyrone.
Oh, right.
And then everybody had a theory about what's his nuts? Jamie Foxx. He didn't look anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's they're always changing out the characters and they're always So I think we're either living in American Horror Story or we're living in they cloned Tyrone and there's just a bunch of fucking doubles and shit out there, and I don't know.
Could be both.
Yeah.
All right, John. We talked about the West Memphis 3 on the first episode we did together. I want to ask you about the Manson killings. Were they real? Were they maybe not real? And you talked about these characters never seeing jail time. And so was Charlie Manson a real person? Was he somebody they got footage of? I mean, I don't want to really lead you.
I don't believe that Charles Manson was a real person. And no,
was Sharon Tate killed?
Again, Sharon Tate is a character, so they can do whatever they want to with their characters. Was Sharon Tate the character killed? Well, clearly the character was killed because that's what the storyline says. Was there a real human being in real life that died? I highly doubt it.
Really?
That's what
with their big pregnant belly and all the crime scene photos and.
I mean,
I'm just saying the way that they sensationalize stuff, because they love to put that picture out for everyone to see, just like with John Bonet.
For a reason, yeah.
The big pregnant bloody belly with the fucking noose and and they repose the bodies. You remember we were talking about that.
Kind of the same point that I made, Colby, with the West Memphis 3. All right. and the bodies of the boys, and they're in DVDs and shit that you can buy. And if my son, if in real life that happened to my son, over my fucking dead body would footage of my dead, naked, abused boy be allowed to be sold on a DVD? I mean, there's no fucking way it would ever happen. And same with that, with that, if Tate was real and that, do you honestly think that, if that was your family member?
Well, her dad was also a powerful guy in the military, so if he didn't want any of those photos to be
coincidence.
seen,
Oh,
right?
it's Laurel Canyon all over again.
Right?
He was an intelligence person.
Yeah, he was the prototype of this kind of thing going on in that area at this time. So I actually, John, the reason I asked you is because after you said the thing about the West Memphis 3, I didn't go full Human Vibrations and just start thinking every goddamn thing is fake, but I do think most of it is. I mean, I think maybe sometimes real shit happens and they just grab a hold of the narrative and pull it where they want that to go, but usually they just construct the whole thing. So I've been obsessed with the Manson killings, and I went and looked back through these new lenses I have on now, and it seems fake as fuck on every angle possible. And like you said about them planting things like the conspiracy candy to go digging through, the Roman Polanski and the witchcraft shit that was going on around all those people, and they're trying to stay sequence. So if you think it's real, you could tie all these things together that probably don't even really exist.
If it's real, I think Roman set it up. And I think he got off on the pictures of her bloody pregnant belly. He was probably jacking off to fucking Rosemary's Baby, like, yes, I'm serious. He's a freaking weirdo.
What is inarguably real is someone or someones did craft these narratives, and there was a purpose for these narratives to be crafted, and that is, I think, where the fun conversations lie, is who and why, and it's like, well, I mean, even 9/11. I don't. You could use 9/11 as an example. People would say, was 9/11 all about Building 7 and what they had to cover up there? Well, maybe that was part of it. 9/11 also was, just like this Luigi thing, a really great event to set the tone in public conversation for stuff that was to come next, and that started a whole decade plus of terranoia, and it was terror, and it's gone on so long that they had to change the narratives. There had to be something else to be afraid of, and I think that's part of why the scamdemic came up, But if terrorism, I've heard some other people say this in various ways, but if terrorism was real, how come none of the actual things that matter get terrorized? Like if Colby, where what city are you in right now?
Medford, Oregon.
Medford, Oregon, and okay. So, and I'm in Nashville. So if Nashville, Tennessee went to war with Medford, Oregon, do you think that if I'm the commander of the army and I'm trying to take over Medford, Oregon, or I wanted to bring Medford, Oregon to its knees, why would I waste my time killing people in some movie theaters? Or why would I waste my time, blowing up a marathon? Why? I'd go to the Medford, Oregon town offices. I'd seize if I wanted to destroy Medford, Oregon, I'd just blow those fuckers up and kill all the people, kill all the officials, and then install new people in Medford, Oregon. But we don't see terror events. It's like the terror events are against the public. They're never against the figureheads, and if it look at the U.S. Has the U.S. not given the rest of the world every reason to want to? Yeah, let's say the U.S. The District of Columbia has given the world many reasons to want to mess with it, but we rarely see any District of Columbia officials whacked. Do
you think that nuclear weapons exist, John?
No, I don't. No, I think. No,
yeah. I was
I do
hoping you
not.
said no. All right, so we're unanimous here.
I am actually
Yeah.
from Oklahoma City, and they have the Oklahoma City bombing memorial that you can go and like walk around and like get all this information that's probably totally made up.
Get a McVeigh coffee mug while you're there.
Right, and like there's
that's ongoing revenue, man. Because I'm sure it's not free.
No, like
sure
the
you pay to go
museum
in
is
it.
like $20 a person to get into. Like you can go
of
walk
course it
around the
is.
memorial for free, but if you want to learn anything about it, you got to pay like $20 a person.
Pay for your indoctrination.
But there's this attitude in Oklahoma City that's like they fully accept the narrative and they fully, you know, they're not trying to look into it. They don't want to look into it. They just accept it for what it is because a lot of people died, you know, and kids died. They had like a daycare in there and a bunch of kids were blown up too. And so nobody wants to like really look into the Oklahoma City bombing either, but it's got a bunch of like weird shit too.
Yeah, and the whole McVeigh narrative was kind of like this Luigi thing. It was like, you know, when he was caught in a car with expired dude, you're telling me that if you pull off a thing like that, your getaway vehicle is gonna you've thought everything through, but you were like, fuck, my tags are expired.
Give me every reason to be fucking pulled over.
And he had his manifesto with him too.
Yeah.
I believe he had a manifesto as well. So, you know, it's the familiar narratives just repeating. But yeah, no, it is, again, I think we're probably all in agreement. Most of these things are staged and manipulated, either partially or completely.
Well, there's another thing that I always think about, especially it kind of reminded me with this Mangione guy. I'm just going to call him Luigi from now on, to be honest. But yeah, this Luigi dude, when people found out who he was, all these girls online are talking about how hot he was, right?
He is hot,
it's
man.
the same.
Is
What's
he?
that?
I mean, he is hot.
Is he a good looking guy?
He's a good-looking dude.
He's a hot Italian dude.
There's a picture.
He's shredded.
He looks like he could have been the stand-in on the music video for "Beat It." When they arrested him, he's got that red leather jacket on. And he's like snarling at the fucking camera, and
Oh shit!
But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got like he's got a, you know, he's in good shape and all that stuff. But it reminded me of that Boston bomber. I forget his name. The younger
because
one.
they put the Rolling Stone cover and all that shit.
Yeah, they put him on Rolling Stone, and so like I'm one of these people, like I said, I'm not as into conspiracies as I used to be because it gets exhausting after a certain time, right? I kind of go through cycles. Yeah, that's him.
No, with the Happy Meal box.
Hey.
He's holding the McDonald Arches Happy Meal box.
Well, the freaking McDonald's Golden Arches is a symbol for, it could be for like the Boaz and Yahin thing. I've seen some things with that, the two arches and like, you know, all the Freemasonry that's in arches and all that bullshit. But anyway, the narrative, or like what I'm trying to get to saying here, is that some of these people, man, I don't know if this dude was on any medication, some of these SSRIs and weird shit like that, but I feel like when, like at a certain point, people get lost and they want to just be famous, especially in this era of TikTok and Instagram and social media, and they want to go out there and do something that gets them some recognition. So I'm not saying that he did or didn't do it. I have no fucking idea, to be honest, but I refuse personally to just think that every one of these events is fake, right? Because some of this stuff's real. It has to be. There's real consequences to these things, even if they are fake.
Ryan, you brought up something that I think is important, and this is early on. This is an argument that my wife would have with me on a regular basis. I'll use 9/11 as an example.
Okay,
those buildings really did come down.
Right.
The people really did die.
Mm-hmm.
So when you know, and I think that should serve should serve as kind of a blueprint for when we say things are fake. You know what I mean? Like was the 9/11 narrative fake? Yes, very much so. But buildings did come down. People really did die. So
I'm in full agreement with you on that. That's exactly how I feel too. It's like it's real but fake at the same time.
Well, they're willing to use us as unwilling participants in the big thing they've planned.
Yeah, we're fodder.
But like Ryan, with like the Manson killings, Are you willing to entertain the idea that the people that got killed in the house on Cielo Drive, if they could be fake, or do you think that?
Sure, and I think that a lot of this stuff can be fake, and there's fake, components to it. But even with, and we can talk more about the Manson stuff, obviously. But even with something as crazy as COVID, like COVID, I am fully convinced that the story that we were told is bullshit, and I was a pretty early adopter of that theory. But COVID had real consequences, like very real ones, right? And so that, I think that makes it real, and that makes it so that, like, I just get exhausted when so many of my friends in this community, which I hate that word too, but so many of my friends in this conspiracy world say everything's fake and everything's fake and gay, and they say all this stuff, and I'm like, man, like at what point are you just like a nihilist and like a complete not a skeptic, what's the other one, skeptic and what, another S word, cynic, right? Like, it's just so cynical just to be like, everything's fake.
That's exactly why.
I'm not saying that you're doing that, John, just to be clear, but like, it's just, to me, man, these things have real consequences, and I think that can't get, overlooked.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up, and that's exactly why I spoke up and said something, because I'm with you, and I'll tell you something that's really, really personal. My wife of almost 30 years, Dawn, she hasn't taken a step on her own in going on 20 years now. She's been in an electric scooter. She is got one of the most compromised immune systems a human could be cursed with. So we've been living with compromised immune system on a major level. I'm talking like on a life or death level for 25 years or so. So I know a thing or two about cells and blood and bacteria, because not because I want to, because we've had to learn this, or I don't want anything to happen to my wife. And so when all of this stuff started happening, the COVID stuff started happening, I never once thought it was real. I never once thought it was real, because I knew it wasn't real, because I was 25 years into knowing that viruses are theoretical, have never been proven, blah, blah, blah. I knew all of that, again, out of necessity because of my wife. But around me, I saw a lot of chaos and suffering, and now arguably a lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of it was otherwise well-meaning people trusting and acting out of fear. But there was some very real to your point, there was some very real damage done. And so I do think it bothers me too when I hear people in just anywhere, just being that so cynical that everything is fake. But I think there's always going to be those people in the room, sure. And it's up to people like us we can have these conversations, which a lot of people would a lot of people listening might think are crazy, but I do think there is a responsibility in having these conversations to be as specific as possible. Like I said, I think 9/11 serves as the best example of that. People really did die. Those buildings really did come down. Some fucked up shit happened, but the story, fake as hell from start to finish, and so but I've met people who say everything about 9/11 was fake, and I was like, dude,
the buildings aren't there anymore. But those are probably people that never even went and saw the Twin Towers before, so like they probably weren't even there in the first place, even though millions of people have seen these things. So I don't know, man. But yeah, like you're saying, words matter a lot, and the way that you bring things up matters. And that's why earlier when we were talking, I said that dude silencer on his gun, and then I changed it to suppressor, because it's called a suppressor. It's kind of like calling a freaking AR-15 an assault rifle. There's no such thing as an assault rifle. Like this could be an assault can, just anything that you can hurt someone with.
You walk into a gun store and say, "Where's your assault rifles?" They're going to look at you like you have no idea what you're fucking talking about.
Right. Well, there's some dipshits that think that AR stands for assault rifle.
Right.
And So I mean, yeah, words matter, and the way that we talk about this stuff is very important, I think, and I would agree with that, John. But it's just, yeah, the like, how is it fake? What's fake about it? I think those are the things that are really important. Same with the Trump shooting, whichever one you want to talk about with the Trump shootings. Yeah, there was some weird shit there, but there's consequences to those events always, right? The liberals would say the consequence to him getting shot would be him winning the election. Because I think he won the election that day, to be honest. You know, he got shot in a swing state.
From the very beginning, as soon as that came up, I was like, yeah, they're putting him in.
I would go so far as to say, as the consequences to those events are the reason those events are crafted and executed in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. Even like what you mentioned earlier with John Bonet, I have been long in the camp that she's real, because there's a lot of, theories floating around that she never existed. But like, when I say it's fake, I think that little girl really died. I think the story they put out about it is fake, and all of like the stuff about the parents and like the brother and like all that weird stuff, that, and then he went on Dr. Phil and stuff, and like that stuff to me is fake, as in they've scripted it. But I think a little girl really physically did die, like that's with a lot of these sensationalized murders. There is dead bodies, but
yeah, and in order to make it believable and to get the desired outcome, there has to be casualties, because otherwise it would actually be fake and a staged Hollywood production. So the powers that shouldn't be are not above having some people lost in order to get the desired outcome.
Party the night she died, so anybody could have had a hand in her death.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some things about John Bonet Ramsey where like all the beauty pageants that she was in, like there was no one else entered into those pageants and stuff like that?
Yeah, I actually covered that in my series, because it was a point people kept bringing up to like validate that she wasn't real. And those pageants actually don't exist, but all the videos and stuff of her, if you read Programmed to Kill and you kind of look into it, I think she was actually part of like this underground like pageant weird kiddie porn thing that was going on, where they dress up these little girls and they do take videos of them. They do like Dolly Parton them up and like make them look crazy, and then they take pictures and videos of them. So the pageants themselves might be fake, quote unquote, but the videos are real, the pictures are real. I think she was really, her parents were into like some pretty fucked up shit. And John, you probably know about this from reading Programmed to Kill, but there is this whole underworld, like dark pageant circle that these girls are thrown into really young.
Yeah, and I think most people, if they think about it, those the whole thing about beauty pageants for little girls is creepy, just even on the surface. I mean, like it would anyone that's ever been a parent would never put their kid through something like it. You'd have to be a special kind of person, and I'm not saying that in a complimentary way. You'd have to be a special type of person to put your precious child on a stage to compete against other children based on their beauty.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Man, I don't have a kid, and I fully agree. I can see how creepy that shit is without having a kid. Weird.
And it's also like a bunch of weird dudes. Like when I was reading about it, most of the people that turn up to the beauty pageants and shit, like some of them are friends and family, whatever, but a lot of it is just like weird, creepy older dudes that like get off on watching these little girls in their little bikinis and shit. And then there's that story about Heather O'Rourke from Poltergeist, when they made her dress up in a bikini and like do this stuff, and then like I think it was that same night she died, and they blamed it on some kind of a bowel condition. Again, a little girl really died. Story fake. I think they were doing stuff to her. I mean, like, they blamed it on like a bowel condition or something.
Yeah, they said her flu went septic, but they sodomized her. I mean, it couldn't be more fucking obvious.
And there was like a witness, and every time she tries to bring up the story, they tell her that she's a kook and a crazy and like a shut the fuck up and like whatever. But
yeah, it's that whole beauty pageant thing seems to be like a kind of the minor league farm team for the grooming aspect of things.
Dude, I took my sister to a freaking. She used to do tumbling when she was a little toddler, and I felt weird as shit just being there, watching these toddlers freaking tumbling and stuff. Like I'd go outside and just chill, be like, oh, I'm not gonna, it's just weird. Like,
yeah, they got him in like my sister did that too, and they got him in these
leotards.
Yeah, that are like fucking swimming suits, basically.
Yeah, and they're flipping around and doing shit, and it's like, man, I don't want to be in here for this shit. I'm just gonna leave her in here and walk outside, and then let me know when you're done, and I'll go back in. But yeah, man, I can't imagine being a fucking grown man and being like, wow, this girl's real talented. It's like, what the fuck is your problem? It's weird.
There's like a weird video of Tom Hanks. Maybe it was a joke. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, have you seen it? I posted it on Instagram.
Yeah. Where he's like, talk about the video. He's like cheering on a girl and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it like a late night show? And
it's like, I want to say Saturday Night Live or one of those like skit shows.
Like they're trying to make it funny, but at the same time, he's like, make it nasty for me. Make it. And he's like throwing dollar bills or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the little.
You certainly have no reason to suspect Tom Hanks of any.
Of course not.
Right.
He's such a nice guy.
He basically raised me.
Actually, Colby told me something about the kid that was in Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah. So this was before, like years before. So Forrest Gump was always one of my favorite movies. And I watched the behind the scenes DVD, and Tom Hanks modeled that accent off of the little kid that played Forrest Gump. And it showed footage behind the takes of the movie where he is just like this fucking close to him, following him around in a really creepy way. It creeped me out at the time. Years later, when all this other shit came out, I was just going, fuck. I thought right back to that. That kid has not done anything since that movie, by the way. And yeah, there's so much creepy shit.
Interesting to see if that kid would be interesting to see if he's even still around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's probably like that kid from the Little Rascals, that Bug, whatever his name is.
Bug Hall that played Alfalfa in the movie. Yeah, he goes on like conspiracy shows our size. He doesn't say a lot, but he's talking about some dark shit that he went fleeing for the hills.
The kid from Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks was trying to absorb his fucking essence, and I mean, it's so like gross and disturbing. It really is.
That kid from Forrest Gump, his name's Michael Connor Humphreys, and he looks like a fucking MK Ultra dude.
Share your screen there. I want to see.
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Is it like a newer picture?
Yeah, this is him.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's fucked up. Well,
I mean, he looks.
All right. Oh, what is this?
He's in the military.
Little military background.
Oh, that's so surprising. I never saw that coming.
You never saw that coming, John?
Yeah, he's showing some movie posters. I don't know if he's been in all these movies or what.
He definitely wasn't in Apollo 13.
He could have been one of the meteors or something.
He seems to have a...
He loves Forrest Gump, though. Or not Forrest Gump, freaking Tom Hanks. But yeah, man. So yeah, he definitely looks...
little stock.
It's a little weird.
He looks like a Columbine shooter.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He looks like just one of these people that's like totally brainwashed. That's him. Oh no,
well, he didn't bother to stick around the film industry.
No, it doesn't look like it.
But he
probably
has
didn't have
affinity for it.
Oh, Memphis! Look at that. That's probably why his accent was so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a soldier from 2005 to 2012 in Germany and Iraq, and an international affairs student. He calls himself a jack of all trades, or some trades. So,
modest.
Jack of some trades. Weird dude. Poor guy. We're sitting here making fun of him too. Yeah, he probably had a rough childhood, man.
Yeah. Life is like a box of chocolates.
It sure is.
Well, I don't know if we could steer the conversation.
You had one that you were going to ask John about.
Oh, yeah, I was. So another one that came up to me when I was kind of thinking about some of these huge events that were highly publicized. The O.J. Simpson killings, to me, always had that element to it. In fact, it is the prototype of the modern day publicized celebrity trial. That was kind of like It was the first one I can remember, but I haven't been alive as long as you, John. So, was that like unique when that happened to you? And did you have triggers go off there?
That's an interesting one to bring up, because that was kind of one of the did we talk about that whole the celebrities, when they play characters, they're Jerry Seinfeld character versus Jerry Seinfeld real person. It's a lot of times when a character is retired, that human that was playing that character, say the character is retired, killed off, or whatever, there's still a human being in real life that now is out of a job because their character is killed off. So sometimes the industry will, these are actors, by the way. This is not, they're playing a part, and so they get another part and they're playing something else. And a lot of times they will, severely alter their appearance. Sometimes they will slightly alter their appearance. I think one of the better examples of that is the Jonathan Pryce, the current Pope. When too many people, Jonathan Pryce is a pretty well-known English actor that I believe is also playing the Pope. So many people caught that because they didn't do anything. Sometimes they'll change the earlobe, they'll do earlobe surgery, or they'll, do something with the jawline or change the nose or whatever, but they didn't do anything with him. Same, just here, Jonathan Pryce. So many people caught on to that they actually made a Netflix special about the Pope starring Jonathan Pryce. It's a drama.
Wow.
Right. So that people, it's kind of like that Capricorn 1 moon landing thing. It's like if you say moon landing thing, it's like, oh, you're just talking about the movie Capricorn 1, and so, but back to the OJ thing. I will say this, do a Google search, for Nicole Brown Simpson, and then do a Google search for Megyn Kelly, and see if you notice any similarities at all.
John, have you ever heard that Jim Morrison became Rush Limbaugh?
No, I've heard the Jim. I haven't heard the Rush Limbaugh thing. I've heard the Jim Morrison becomes Chevy Chase thing.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
I actually have something I want to ask John about too.
Okay. He's open for questions.
I watched, I don't know if it was the one, Ryan, I don't know if you were in on it or if it was the first one you did with Jess Colby, but I watched a couple of the episodes where you guys were talking about celebrities being like secretly men and stuff like that. And then I've studied a lot about bone structure and physical markers. Like if someone found a skeleton that was a fucking skeleton, they could tell you if it was a woman or if it was a man just based on the skeletal. Yeah. And I've looked into that quite extensively, and a lot of people I'm with Ryan, I don't like to say community, but a lot of conspiracy theorists in our group will like, oh, you're crazy, there's no way that was a man, there's no way that was a chick, but the confusion and like the inversion is super real. And
it's part of their religion. Inversion is one of the pillars of their religion.
Right, yeah. And so I've looked at Nicole Brown Simpson in many videos and many photos, and she has all the physical markers of being male at birth. She's got the jawline and the bone structure of a biological male. And I'll even pull up pictures of Nicole Brown Simpson and show them the jawline and the fingers, the kneecaps, and she was tall too, and so the kids don't really look like her at all. And I mean, I get it, interracial kids sometimes they don't look like the mom or whatever, but the kids don't look like her at all. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, like with Nicole?
I will go as far to say that at this point in my life, seeing and experiencing what I have, and I actually, I will. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I spent my entire adult life in the music industry, and I have worked behind the scenes with some pretty major acts, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen how someone is one human being is being presented as two completely different celebrities. Mm-hmm. So if I had any doubt, I've seen it with my own eyes, so I know that it is happening. I've actually seen it with my own eyes on more than one occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But
I really should pull up pictures of Nicole to just kind of drive this point home. Let me see or Ryan, if you want to.
That is the common thread amongst all of you look at the people they call the elites. They're all eugenicists. They're all into that eugenicist agenda. They're into eugenics, the transhumanism, all of that stuff, and it's inversion. The topic of inversion is a pillar of that belief. Up is down, right is left, black is white, boy is girl. And
who did you say that Nicole turned into?
Well, I didn't. I just look. I think that there's so much of that character, like recycling. I'm just calling it recycling. We don't think twice when we see somebody like Brad Pitt playing different characters in different movies. There's Brad Pitt, the actor, and then he plays. We don't really think that Brad Pitt is Tyler Durden. He played Tyler Durden.
Or Benicio del Toro, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that if it happens in the movies, and why does that only happen in the movies? Why would that not happen in news, in sports, in any entertainment? Because you're not really there anyways. You're just watching it on a screen. And so when they have to retire a character for whatever reason, there's still a human being that was playing that character that is an employee that needs another job to do. And so I think that they are given other jobs, and that's not conspiratorial. That is not, it's just part of, it's show business. Okay, now they don't.
The whole OJ trial was show business, and they made it a freaking race thing. And freaking Kim Kardashian's freaking dad and like all that stuff. It
launched that into the public consciousness. And so now out of the OJ trial, we now have the Kardashians, who are, in my opinion, those are all men, all of them.
Oh, John, you fucking said it.
All of them.
You can't take it back now. They all have dicks.
Not just daddy, not just Bruce, all of them. Those are all trans. And you know what?
Trannies.
Because of the transhumanism eugenic agenda, you almost like it's becoming normalized. It's becoming normalized. Like 10 years ago, when I have a friend who thinks that Jennifer Aniston is the most beautiful woman on earth.
I said that. It's a dude. I already
Farrah Fawcett, dude. It's been going on a long time. I mean,
as they age, it starts to become more abundantly evident to me. Like if you look at pictures of Jennifer Aniston right now as she's aging, like the work is falling apart, and like the bone structure.
As they age, yeah, it gets. Look at Nicole Kidman.
Obvious. It's becoming
look at Nicole
real
Kidman.
Obvious.
Well,
a lot of people didn't really bring this up and like talk about it as much as they should have, but Khloe Kardashian went from like a sexy looking like thicker chick with like her own kind of individuality from the other Kardashians. Overnight she starts like, it's like they gave her a new skeleton or some shit. Like she doesn't even look like the same person.
It might not be the same
but person. That's what I'm saying is like they can do whatever they want with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, how many different Stephen Hawkings? There's like 5 or 6 different Stephen Hawkings.
There's not a real one.
How many different Hillary Clintons have there been? How many different Adeles? Look at like currently, like there's been like 4 or 5 different Adeles.
Are you
like
sure about Adele? I don't want to believe that because I really would hope she just lost weight and like.
John wants to think that Ice Cube is legit. Do you still, John, know after like the last year? Because it's been about a year since we talked, and I gave you shit at the end of that.
I'm holding in. I'm holding in. If that's gonna hurt me if I find out that Cube's in on all of this.
Oh, 100% he's
wanna
in
believe-
on
If you don't see it now, I don't know if you.
I'm not saying he doesn't know about it, but I do think that there are those that have somehow, some way, been able to do what they do in entertainment, and for whatever reason, they're allowed to.
So what is
remain.
it about Ice Cube in particular? Did you really like the Friday movies or something? Like,
I'd be lying if I said I didn't know Friday word for word, but no. I am a pro level music nerd. My half of our bedroom is all like record bins, and I'm deep into music, and the NWA record. Was just hugely influential to me. I loved that record. Now, I don't like who any of those people became later in life. I don't think I could even be in the same room with Dre without wanting to just like take a baseball bat to him. But
right.
But Cube, he was always my favorite. He was my favorite out of them, and I really loved what he did with his solo career, and he always seemed like one of those guys that like they just kind of left him alone and let him do his thing.
Well, I know you brought up Eminem before too, and I have my own kind of theory about it. I know you do too, but I almost feel like when they take a celebrity or a musician and they start to do the bleaching of the hair and like the weirdness like that it's almost signaling like the lights are on, but nobody's home. Like they've been fully indoctrinated. They've been fully programmed. And so I don't know as much about like they switched him out as much as it's like, okay, we fully control this person now. You see it again and again with the bleached hair, like Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Eminem. They all went through this bleached hair, crazy-eyed fucking weirdo phase. And it's like, I don't know if they swapped them out necessarily, but like they're fucking not there.
I would, in my opinion, I don't think Marshall Mathers has been swapped out. I just think he's been drugged up and lobotomized, and I mean he is an asset.
He doesn't even rap the same as he used to. It's not the same like kind of flow. And I understand musicians can evolve and stuff, but his work is not the same as it used to be whatsoever. Real quick, I'm going to show you guys my favorite body double conspiracy real fast. Benicio del Toro and fucking Brad Pitt.
There you go.
I brought this up to Julia the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's close.
People argue, they're like, dude, they both were in the movie Snatch. Well, first of all, they didn't have a fucking scene together, and secondly, Eddie Murphy does that shit all the time.
Yeah,
you can
look at Michael Myers too, right? I mean, the dude's 80 different characters in one movie.
Yeah,
fat bastard.
It's show business. They're doing what they're paid to do.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's just my favorite one because I never thought about that.
I always thought when Benicio started to get big in the 90s, like, God, he looks just like Brad Pitt with a little more ruggedness to him. And easy enough to pull off.
Think about it.
Oh, I've got a good one. So I was listening to this Cult of Conspiracy. They had a guy on there that was all into body doubles. He had some awesome theories about Jim Carrey we could get into. But he said something about Cedric the Entertainer being Martin Lawrence. And I was like, no, they don't even look like it at all. And then we watched a movie that week, Haunted House, that the Wayans brothers put out. It's like it mocks the footage horror movies. And
I love that one.
Cedric the Entertainer's in there. So
That's
that shit's
good.
fresh on my mind. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, that is fucking Martin Lawrence in a fat suit. The eyes, the fucking mannerisms, the voice. And that guy said that, I laughed. And he ended up convincing me. Kind of like Bill Hicks and Alex Jones.
I'm still not convinced on that one.
No, you're not?
Well,
Bill Hicks, Alex Jones?
I will tell you why, John. I will tell you why.
We had an argument last night.
We did have an argument. Because fat bags under your eyes are hereditary. And Bill Hicks doesn't have the fat bags that Alex Jones, quote unquote, has. Even in that very first video of Alex Jones that I saw that you posted, the fat bags, hereditary.
Why could you not? You could Botox that.
like fill it up to make it look like the
You
fat
can
bag.
make it happen. Yeah.
I mean, that's very true. The nose is different, so
the teeth
teeth also bothered me.
No, they're the same.
I think they're different.
The voice analysis is also very interesting.
Yeah, they.
Ryan, where do you sit on that one? Bill Hicks, Alex Jones.
Dude, I think it's very plausible because Alex Jones looks a lot older than 50 years old.
Dude, that was one key thing for me too. When I first looked him up, when I was interested in his work, when he first emerged, I was like, that guy's 10 years older than me. He looks like he could be my fucking like old dad.
Yeah, he looks like he's 70.
Let me pose something here. This is specific to the Bill Hicks, Alex Jones thing. And again, I'm not going to use a specific name, but this is someone that we all are very aware of. Big celebrity. That I worked alongside for a couple of years. I do know that what I'm about to tell you occurs. This celebrity, very famous, very well known, was not the brand of this person was pretty squeaky clean, and this person wanted to keep it that way. And the industry, the powers that be, were wanting this person to move into different verticals, so to speak, that this person was not comfortable with doing. And so there was a talk, there were some negotiations, and this person was given some options. And one of the options was you can continue to be an employee, and we'll keep you employed, but not at what you're accustomed to. Your opportunities are going to significantly decrease, and you can continue, and you can just do what you want, and you're going to sign this NDA about this conversation. You'll never speak of it again, and you could go that route. You could completely play ball with us and come on board and do what we've discussed, or we can basically kill off the character, kill off your character publicly, or and then you'll get nothing in royalties, and we'll make tons because there'll be people buying your stuff. The fourth option was you can sell out to us. We'll just buy you out and put somebody else. Your character will continue on, but it'll be somebody else.
Hey, without asking you who this is this somebody we would know, like household name?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you going to reveal the name?
No.
He said he can't.
Because I was thinking about the Taylor Swift thing for a minute.
Well, I'm also. I could go downstairs and get you a picture that Taylor gave me the day. Me, about 5-6 other people, her father, and a small team of us stuffed CDs into padded envelopes to send radio for her very first single, Tim McGraw. So I've actually seen the Taylor Swift story from the get-go. And
you saw Prototype 1. Prototype Taylor.
Yeah, and I can say with utmost certainty that the person that's the photo that I have that's signed and you can see and I would love to talk jaw lines and facial structures. What is being presented publicly now?
It's the guy that played Napoleon Dynamite.
Not even.
He's the current. I stole that from
John
you,
Heder.
man.
John Heder.
Yeah.
What?
I heard you say that before.
I get behind that. Yeah, I would.
Well, I
could live with that.
I told Colby when I heard you say that, and then I want you to finish your story actually, because I'm really interested in how that turned out. But I worked for a doctor, and she's a general surgeon, but she's also a prosthodontist. And she said Taylor Swift has had the same veneers since she first came onto the scene until now.
Same veneers.
You
can just
and she's got
those.
Like her gum lines are starting to recede because she needs new veneers. And so that, like, how far do you think they take it? Like, if they switched out the real Taylor, would they put the same teeth on him? Or, like, how far do you think it goes?
I think that there are probably more than one stage and TV Taylors at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think they probably have, a couple. Again, I think in one of our previous conversation, Colby, Eminem, it was in the news when his body double died. They said that guy appeared as Eminem on stage and at award ceremonies and stuff. So we know that happens, and why wouldn't it? It's show business,
Well, do you think the real Taylor pops up every now and again, like for photos or something, or?
If you're asking my personal opinion on Taylor Swift in particular, based upon my experience, I would say that it is not outside the realm of possibility that the real Taylor Swift got bought out and is probably chilling on some remote beach somewhere with Tom Petty and David Bowie. And
really?
Chris Cornell's really dead, though, right?
Oh gosh, unfortunately, I think Cornell is, yeah.
Because he was getting smart about some shit. But anyways, back to your story about the unnamed person.
Yeah. So this person decided to play ball, and now this person is not squeaky clean anymore, and is doing things that they would not have wanted to do without being coerced and
name 4 songs.
Well, but these are business. I mean, again, this type of stuff happens in business every single day. We have all worked for people, and I have had people that I've worked for, call me into the office and go, John, we want you to do this, or we're gonna reassign you and put you here, and you either go, yeah, I'll do it, or you go, no, I quit.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of these celebrity scenarios, you can't just quit, because there's non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality scenarios, and so they will, if you've reached, in order to reach a certain level of celebrity, those conversations have already taken place.
So, and you're also saying that they don't necessarily ever really have to kill them, like actually take the person out. But do you think sometimes they might?
I think sometimes they do, but I think it's a choice. It's like, Colby, if you've been a good employee, but you're honestly just burnt out, or your heart's just not in it anymore, and you come to me and you go, man, I don't think I can do this anymore. Based upon your value and what we got going on and how much money is at stake, I might let you walk.
Isn't that the story that they were telling in A Star Is Born? Like, the first one I think had Judy Garland in it, but the remake of it had Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. And
I think the first one had Barbara Streisand.
Did it?
No, that was the second one. It was actually remade.
Has that been movies been made 3 times?
Yeah,
well, so they need to stop these remakes.
Chris Christopherson and Barbara Streisand was the remake, and then the second remake.
I didn't realize that the Streisand Christopherson one was a remake. I thought that was
Judy Garland played the original role.
I was gonna say, I think that's significant because of what they did to her, like throughout her entire life. That they would choose her for that movie, and then later on choose Lady Gaga because, there's so many theories about her. I could fucking.
And nothing ruins a movie like Lady Gaga does. Nothing ruins a movie worse. She's the worst. I kind of
agree, but the Joker is supposedly good.
No, I'm not a fan of him either.
Here we go. That one's like actually low-hanging trans inversion fruit, because fucking Family Guy even had a joke about it. So that one to me is almost like they just put it in our face.
Well, they did an interview and they asked Lady Gaga,
would it be so bad if I was?
What if I am? Like, pretty much saying,
perfect fucking answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's also like the trans agenda, right? Like, that's something that even if she was like a chick, she would say that, because like I was seeing this thing with Ariana Grande. She was talking about how the new Wicked movie is like fully trans, like even the chickens in the movie are trans and all this weird shit. So strange. But
straight from the horse's mouth.
Right.
like talk about a square jawline, man. That
and on Disney
absolutely.
she looked like a little boy when she was on Disney shows.
He is a little boy.
John, you were saying something earlier before we moved too far away from it. You know, you were talking about you have these options when you're a celebrity and you're wanting to like kind of phase out or whatever. Have any of you guys seen the Substance movie yet? The movie called The Substance? It's I recommend it to you guys, man. Demi Moore is like an old
another one.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. She's got a very square jaw.
That's another one.
But Demi Moore is like aging out of Hollywood, and it looks like it takes place in like the 80s or something. They're doing a lot of those like live exercise shows where the girls are wearing bright colors and they're doing jazzercise, and she wants to she's basically getting fired from her gig from this piece of shit producer, and she wants to make herself young, and she gets this thing called the Substance that can make her young, and it's a fucking great movie. The end of it turns into like a Gwar concert. It gets kind of wild, but it's
sponsored by Adrenochrome.
I mean, dude, it's not Adrenochrome. It's
no, that would be a nice Gwar, tie-in where you got the blood. And...
Well, no, yeah, the end of it is just like I said. If you watch it, man, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It looks like a Gwar concert, but yeah, it's not an Adrenochrome thing, but it's similar. And I don't want to give any away, but I recommend it to all you guys because it's a phenomenal movie. Even if you got to pay like $3 or whatever to rent it, or there's free streaming sites all over the place. But yeah, watch that movie ASAP. It's good.
So is it like the concept is swapping out like the old blood for the new blood and like?
I mean, I don't want to get into it at all because when you see what happens, it's not at all like if I even like told you what it was, it would like be like, oh, okay. But I mean, it's worth a watch. For sure.
Okay, cool.
And if you guys want to watch it for free, I got the free hookup on movie sites. It's a bootleg site. They're all over the place. So let me know. But yeah, it's worth the watch.
No, for sure.
The Substance.
Nice. Appreciate the tip. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're into any of this kind of stuff, like the body doubles, the even Adrenochrome, even though it's not Adrenochrome, it's a movie for a lot of people in this world.
I think that's kind of like, I obviously haven't seen it, but like when I watched Doctor Sleep for the first time, I was like, oh my god, this is like a conspiracy theorist fucking dream movie right here. It had so much shit. Did you watch it, John?
No, I actually kind of have a no Hollywood policy. I got burned by Hollywood early in life, and I was like, I'm never giving them another minute. Yeah.
You don't watch movies or anything?
I will if I'm researching something and it's I have to know what I'm talking about. I will, but not for
your leisure.
No.
Oh, so you're not going to watch The Substance then? That's you're like, yeah, thanks for the tip. I'm not watching it.
First of all, Ryan, I was being polite.
I appreciate that.
Secondly, I probably will, since you've piqued my interest with the subject matter, and that might be a nice reference to use in a later conversation.
It's research purposes.
Yeah, there you go.
John, can I ask you, what do you think? Because obviously you were burned by Hollywood, but one of my favorite things, as well as Julia and Ryan, I'm sure you have intense interest in this. It's the topic of Stanley Kubrick. And I mean, what's your whole take on all of that stuff? Like, who was he? What was he into? Was he intelligence? Was he a fucking asset?
Was he a pedo?
Wouldn't it have been awesome to talk to Stanley Kubrick about Laurel Canyon?
Yeah.
Ooh.
About anything, man.
Both of you guys. Ryder Lee just did a movie, A Clockwork Shining is what it's called. You have to rent it on Amazon Prime.
It's a documentary.
Yeah, it's a documentary about Kubrick making The Shining and the whole theory about it being an MK Ultra project. But it's interesting because he ties in Laurel Canyon, the book Catcher in the Rye, and MK Ultra assassins and stuff like that. But it brought some stuff to the forefront I hadn't heard of.
Well, before. I know Ryan's into it because this is forever ago, Ryan. You probably won't even remember, but I went on his show and I talked about like all the weird stuff in The Shining. Mm-hmm. And I think we both kind of had a theory on it, but Kubrick is like a fucking Pandora's box.
Dude, my favorite movie of his is freaking Eyes Wide Shut, and a lot of people hate that movie. But I can watch that movie over and over again, man. Like I usually put it on at night when I'm tired because it's kind of slow. But oh, what a good movie!
Mm-hmm.
Everything in there.
Is that really a favorite of yours, Ryan?
Yeah, 100%. Out of all his movies, like if I was ranking them, it'd be that. I like A Clockwork Orange a lot. The Shining.
Clockwork Orange is my number one.
It's great too.
Reason I asked is I having worked in the music industry my whole life and being a collector of pop culture, I have hundreds of thousands of pieces of pop culture history, and I'm recently going through just thousands and thousands of posters that I have, and I just found I used to work for the management company that manages Keith Urban, and I was on Keith Urban's team for years doing some web stuff. And so I've actually, and he and Nicole are residents here in Nashville, and so they're spotted about town on a regular basis. And
Nicole Kidman?
Yeah. So I was pulling out some Nicole Kidman posters to have mounted, and then I've got a buddy that has a record shop, and he sells a lot of this stuff for me. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I found a couple Eyes Wide Shut posters. If you're interested, man, I'll send you one.
Oh, I would love one. Yeah. What are you charging? I'll
send it to you. I'll just send it to you.
It's a gift, Ryan. We've already got one hanging in our living room.
We have one hanging in our living room.
Then we got my Clockwork Orange in the background.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, man, I'll send you my address on the chat here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to put it out there for everyone.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna
have
to publicly.
John, this is now I can dox Ryan and fucking stock his house in it.
Well, dude, you know what's crazy, man? I did an episode on the cartel, and someone sent me my address. Someone fucking sent me my address.
Dude, are you serious?
Yeah, and then like a couple weeks after that, someone was following me around at work and shit, and I called the police and everything, dude. It was fucking nuts.
You're not one of those guys when you say something like that. I think you're being paranoid because you're like a reasonable guy.
Yeah,
fuck, man.
Well, yeah, and I carry a gun on me and stuff, and like this dude was following me. I'm like, I'm not trying to fucking use this thing. But yeah, it was at night, and it was when we were wearing masks, and this dude was wearing a mask. He had a hoodie on. Followed me out of the store. I got in my truck. He looked at my license plate and then got in his car, which was behind mine. And it was dark out still. You know, I was working at Pepsi, so we're servicing stores like 5 in the morning.
So this was a while ago. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, dude, like this guy, he's following me out of the parking lot with his lights off, his headlights off, and he's just like staying behind me. I turned around and I got out. And I carried my gun in a fanny pack, and I held the fanny pack up. He probably just thought I was showing him my fanny pack. And I pointed at it. I was like, dude, get the fuck away from me, man. And yeah, it was very fucking scary. And I usually don't get rattled by shit, but even that morning, I woke up and I felt like I don't want to leave my house today. Like I just for whatever reason, I felt real weird. And yeah, that ended up happening, man. It was pretty fucking scary. So I don't talk about the cartel anymore, and you guys probably should. Dangerous topic.
John, I'd love to hear any over-scoping like stuff about Kubrick you have, if that's something you ever looked into, the moon landing and all that shit.
Well, I mean, I think he, and again, I wasn't kidding. I bet you he would have had some incredible insight into, especially the the base that was there in Laurel Canyon that had the
Lookout Mountain Studios.
Yeah, which doesn't Jared Leto own that building?
Yeah, he does now. He has a cult up there, and he dresses like Jesus. He's like you with a beard and a white robe.
Dude, Jared Leto's a weird guy, man.
Dude.
Like talk about good movies too. Freaking what's the drug one he's in? I can't believe.
Requiem for a Dream, one of my top 5 movies.
Requiem for a Dream is great. It's disturbing as all hell, but really good movie.
Yeah, no, I think at that time there weren't as many creatives that had the creativity and the technical ability that Kubrick had. It's now just because of the way communication is. There's kids in garages and down the street that can do amazing things. But I think Kubrick was tapped from an early age. And was an asset and was utilized, and created content, and whether or not he knew what that content was going to be used for or how it was going to be used, I think is probably open for debate. But I think he was probably tapped at an early age, maybe even born into it, and that's just what he did. And I think that these people that if you have any remnants of a soul at all, and you have a conscience, or just if you can feel, if you know that you are contributing to something bad and nefarious, I think these people have to they have to express that somehow. I think it maybe karmically helps clear their conscience, or and so you've Kubrick, clearly for whatever reason left a lot of clues and a lot of Easter eggs and things, and clearly it wasn't just because he was a creative individual. There was meaning behind it. I mean, look at you've got the whole Eric Schmidt, who wrote 1984 under the pen name Orwell. I mean, it's there is no George Orwell. That's just a pen name. It's just a stage name.
He looks a lot like Henry Lee Lucas.
Yeah.
You ever seen a picture of George Orwell and Henry Lee Lucas side by side?
No, but no, you think? I mean, I could see very similar.
Yeah, I mean, another one that I thought was interesting is Terrence McKenna and the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. Their voices are identical, and if you look at them side by side, they look different, but it doesn't seem like anything that could be impossible to pull off.
Well, I mean, again, you're talking about characters. The Unabomber was a character. It was a
Well, I know you obviously can't be 100% on this, so I just want your opinion, but there are so many different trains of thought on if Kubrick was involved to a certain degree himself in some of this weirdness, like the pedo stuff, and some people think he's a good guy that wasn't. But I mean, some of the clues, as you were saying, in the movies, especially Eyes Wide Shut, allude to him knowing about it. Whether or not he took part in it, that's up for debate. But it sucks you didn't see Dr. Sleep, because it's just the continuation of The Shining, and in my opinion, that's all the movie was about, was pedophilia stuff.
It's adrenochrome. I mean, they take these young kids with this gift, The Shining, and they drain them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not. It's
stab them and shit,
not even
and
subtle.
Suck the stuff out of the stab holes. It's fucked up.
The whole topic of blood. That's I'd said in the earlier conversation, the you call them the elite, or whatever name you want to give that layer of the powers that shouldn't be. I said a common thread running through them is they're all they all love transhumanism, eugenics stuff. That's their religion, and blood seems to be another common thread.
Blood and children.
Well, where do you get the blood from? I mean,
right.
Like anything, if you want lettuce, you want fresh lettuce. You don't want old lettuce. If you want tomatoes, you want fresh tomatoes. You don't want old tomatoes. And so, the blood thing, the child tie-in just makes perfect sense, because the best, freshest blood would, again, using fruit or meat or any other analogy, you want young, fresh, whatever it is. And so, but blood seems to be a common thread amongst them. Hollywood's been pretty open. I mean, you've got celebrities that have bathed in it. They use it for cosmetically. I mean, I see commercials on TV for serum. Serum is look at the definition of serum. It's blood. So it's just a kinder, more bougie way of saying blood. And so celebrities have been using blood cosmetically, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, in my own life, I mentioned my wife being handicapped. My wife and our youngest son happen to be the same blood type. which would make sense, mother and son being the same blood type. When my son was 17, they took blood from my son, his young, vibrant blood, and injected it in key places into my wife and helped her some of her joints move and everything. So, I mean, and they do, I mean, that's PRP, plasma replacement. They do this. I mean, people do it for cosmetic reasons all the time. My wife did it for functionality reasons. But I mean, young blood introduced into an older body does have positive effects. I've literally seen it with my own son, and please don't think that we belong to some weird blood cult. This is done by professionals. His name was Larry, and he had anyways. This was done by professionals, but I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes that young blood introduced into an older body has positive side effects. And in my wife's case, it was functional, and it was from her son, and there was no nefarious stuff going on there. And again, it was done by professionals, but there is a huge amount of truth. And I'm not saying that I agree with it, but I can certainly understand if it was somebody's desire to live longer, look younger, be stronger, strive for immortality, maybe. That makes perfect sense. And Kubrick, because of where he was positioned and how he was positioned, I have no doubt he probably saw some horrific things. And there are things, and think about what we all consider to be normal. I mean, this is normal, sitting in our rooms talking on a computer to each other. This is normal conversation. But in a whole other world, drinking the blood of young children is considered normal, and so could it be that he was just trying to release some of that horror and guilt and shame that he was feeling, and he was clearly, good, bad, or otherwise, he was a creative guy, and he, maybe that was just his way of getting it out, and like it was Schmidt's way of he created the Orwell pen name, and he, look at how much of 1984 is, that was fiction at one point, and now it's not. There's a lot of 1984 that's real now,
Yeah, I heard in the UK, specifically like Scotland, it's illegal to pray in your head now. Like, you can't say a prayer, like a mental prayer. You can't do that. Like, obviously
how would
they
they
wouldn't
even know.
Well, like if you're sitting there and you're like bowing your head and closing your eyes, and they saw you doing that, you could get arrested for it. Which is, I mean, that's pretty Orwellian right there. But you were talking about, John, transhumanism. Are you familiar with cosmism? We might have talked about it in the past a little bit when we spoke last time.
Familiar with what? What was that?
Russian cosmism?
No.
It's kind of like transhumanism. It's just like the way that, I mean, I've done a couple episodes on it because I found it fascinating. It has to do with like bringing the dead back to life. There's a lot of transhuman, components to it, but it's basically a conservative version of transhumanism, where transhumanism is more like liberal, they would say. But yeah, cosmism, like this, there's this kid, he was talking about Rogan and Alex Jones and all this stuff, and talking about how they're cosmists. And that's not a term that gets used a lot because transhumanism is so trendy, and people talk about that a lot with Elon Musk and all that. But it seems like they would maybe...
Is it cosmic, like cosmic, C-O-S?
Yeah, let me make sure on the spelling. C-O-S-I-S-M. Russian cause. Russian. Yeah, okay, here. This is what it is. I'll share my screen real quick. Wikipedia is asking for money. Yeah, right here. Russian cosmism.
Cosmism. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, man, and there's a lot of like related topics you can get into too. But yeah, it's a weird thing, and there's a lot of new age components to it, but it's bringing people back from the dead, using AI and Amazon and big companies like that to create like a brain net type situation. And yeah, it's a dark topic, but it's very interesting,
So
man.
that's the neural link is described in such a way, like a brain web.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it has a lot to do with that, and I kind of feel like after you look into cosmism a little bit, it kind of seems like the transhumanism talk's almost a distraction.
Yeah, like look over here. That's because
that makes so
Elon
much
Musk couldn't be in a more fucking public place, and if you would have told me 2 years ago that he would be actually on the presidential administration, well, fuck, why not? I guess. But
Thank God he comes from normal parents.
Oh yeah,
yeah, his whole story is 100% true.
Exactly. Yeah. He's him and Zuckerberg.
Dude, I felt so stupid one time watching a documentary, and I felt that like Elon Musk was so brilliant when I watched this, because in this he says that he lost his fear of the dark when he was 2 years old, because he understood that all that a dark molecule is versus a light molecule is it's just the same molecule without an electron in it. And he understood that at 2 years old, he said. And I'm thinking, wow, that's fucking brilliant for a 2-year-old.
That sounds like Terrence Howard going on Joe Rogan and saying that his mom used to put light on her stomach, and that was proof that his son and him remembered their births. So I was like, what?
Yeah,
Because
I
they
don't
like
remember
light
anything
now.
before I was like 4 or 5.
That's pretty good.
They have stories like that about Nikola Tesla too. He was born in a lightning storm, and it fucking lightning bolt went in her pussy and fucking zapped him in the womb.
Oh my God.
That's how he got his superpowers.
Yeah, they have stories like that about Nikola Tesla. Anybody who ends up doing something like that, and again, people have different theories on Nikola Tesla, who he was, whatever. But he does have an interesting story.
Does have an interesting story, and it's interesting because Musk and forget the Tesla car thing. Musk is kind of the modern day version of what Tesla. It's almost like character. They're recycling the character.
Well, they did it with Howard Hughes. Between the two of them, you had Tesla, Howard Hughes, Elon Musk, and then you throw the whole Iron Man mythology into all of it, which they're taking quite literally these days. I think Elon Musk had a cameo in the second Iron Man movie.
Did.
Yeah, like Howard Hughes and Tesla, if you mix them together, you get Elon Musk.
So these are characters. These are characters that are created and they're put into the public lexicon, and we absorb them, and they become, they become real. And
well, it's exactly how you're saying, because the Nikola Tesla character had all this, like I said, he was born in a lightning storm and he did all this stuff and da. But then at the end of his life, he's like broke. Nobody cares about him. His
girlfriend is a pigeon.
Yeah, his girlfriend's obviously a pigeon. He dies in a hotel room somewhere, and they just kind of threw him away after they were. It's crazy because you're so right about that. Like, they didn't care. They just kind of threw him away after they were done with whatever.
Yep, that's what happens when your usefulness runs out, and
he died penniless in a hotel room.
Well, I think Howard Hughes became a Mormon in Las Vegas and ended up leaving his family fortune to them. It's like a similar thing.
Doesn't Trump have a weird thing about Nikola Tesla or somebody like that?
Yeah.
Trump's uncle. Yeah, he
Okay.
supposedly through the hand of the FBI, he ended up getting all of those patents. I don't know how much of that is mythology and how much of that is real, because the whole Trump time travel thing is fun to look into. But
that's a fun theory. Whether it's real or not, it's fun. Not to derail, but I dropped a link in here for you guys. You guys can check that out. He's got more. This kid talks about a lot of interesting stuff in this video, and a lot of it is the Russian cosmism towards the end and whatnot. But yeah, dude, that whole website, realdocumentaries.com, it's like uncensored YouTube. There's not as many videos on there, but if you want to go down some conspiracy rabbit holes, realdocumentaries.com is an incredible place to watch some stuff.
I was on that one a while back. I haven't been there in ages. I'm glad you reminded me about that.
I didn't know.
It's such a good site, but I recommend you guys all save that link. And if you're curious or bored one time and you just want to look into that video, it's only like an hour and a half, I think. It might be longer than that. No, 2 hours and 11 minutes. But it's worth every minute of watching that, man. Very, very good.
Ryan, this time I'm also being sincere. Thanks for the tip.
Absolutely. I know you're probably more likely to watch that than The Substance, but still, I'm trying to give some stuff out here and provide some value to the conversation.
In another year, when we do this again, we're gonna have a movie report.
Oh yeah.
I actually have a couple unrelated questions for John. I don't know how much time everybody has, but I just want to get these questions out before we wrap up, kind of. But so I know you're really into like the healthcare system and everything, and I actually cover a little bit about that kind of stuff on my own show. But I had this girl that I worked with, and my mom died of cancer, so it's like close to home for me. Like, because I agree with you, I think she was probably killed more by the treatment than the actual breast cancer, obviously. But I worked with this girl, and she said that her husband completely cured his cancer by taking dog dewormer. And he has a whole blog about it, how much he took of it every day. It's never came back. He didn't do any chemo. He didn't do any radiation. And I have this theory that cancer is actually just parasites, and they can get you with parasites in your food, water, whatever. It's real easy to give somebody a parasitic overload and then tell them they have cancer. So what are your thoughts on something like that, like with the dog dewormer and stuff?
Well, first of all, I'm so sincerely sorry to hear about what happened with your mom, and I'm glad that you voiced your stance on that, because I too, I don't believe that cancer is a thing. I think it is also a character that was created, and it is probably one of the most cruel of all characters that they have created, because it's fear-based and with as serious as I can possibly say this, if anyone listening or watching this is told that they have cancer, or if a loved one is told that they have cancer, I plead and beg of you to look the medical professional that is telling you that in the eyes and say, I'd like to see it. Show it to me. I want to see my cancer acting nefariously in my body. Show it to me. Don't show me don't show me an X-ray with a white blob and go, that's your cancer. That could be anything. That could be a piece of bone. It could be a piece of fat. It could be anything. It could be a water glob. It could be a number of things. I want to see live on a microscope or some equivalent thereof. I'd like to see my body acting nefariously against itself. Show me before I subject myself to your burning and your pharmaceuticals and your cutting and surgery. I'd like to see that. And that is a question that I have pleaded with people over the years to ask. And I do know people that have asked, and I've yet to have anyone come back and go, they showed it to me. Mm-hmm. So these people that have cured their cancer by doing other things, I think what they have cured themselves from is they've actually saved themselves from the traditional treatment and like doing anything. I mean, I don't doubt that they did take a dog dewormer. They could have taken popcorn. They could have eaten drank a Slurpee or something. Anything other than the treatment is going to have a better outcome than the treatment. And
I tend to agree with you on that. Yeah, and there is a spiritual component to it as well, I know. But
I'd really love your take on this, because I've just seen it with my own eyes that these type of words affect. I think they affect all of us, but I think I think they affect women more. And I say that with grace and mercy. If someone was to tell a little girl that she was ugly or she was fat, I don't care how strong that little girl is, or even a little boy, but I'm just saying I think it would affect a little girl more. If you heard, you're fat, you're ugly, you are never going to forget that. It's going to be with you your entire life. You're never going to forget that you were told you were fat, you were ugly. Imagine being told that you have this thing that's going to kill you. That's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks, way harder than being told you were fat or you were ugly. So just the very act of being diagnosed, and diagnose is a very strange word. Di means two, ag means not, gnosis is knowing. So it's two people not knowing.
That's interesting.
Anyways, to tell someone that they have this thing that's going to kill them is a very powerful and cruel thing to do to somebody. And the human body is an amazing machine. If you think, and this is, if we are all being honest with ourselves, you know that this is true. You've talked yourself sick before. You've thought yourself sick before. You know, like if you think that you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick. If you I don't know, you twist your ankle, you're like, oh, I hope I didn't break it. You know, it's going to hurt more. If you're really stressed about not breaking it, it's going to hurt. You can manifest that, good or bad. And there's no stronger motivator than fear. And so a lot of people who are told that they have things, that's all they have to do is tell them that they have it. And they from that point forward, that person is moving forward in a state of fear. And most people are not strong enough to go, fuck that. I'm going to get another opinion, or I'm not listening to that shit at all.
Well, here's a good example of that, actually. There was a fucking crazy lady who went on Dr. Phil, and she had a big fucking pregnant belly, like you'd never guess otherwise that she was like 8 months pregnant. She's not pregnant. She's been pregnant for like 7 years or something like that. And she's convinced herself that any day now she's going to have a baby. And they've done ultrasounds for her. They've done all kinds of crazy stuff for her. They told her there's no babies in there, but her belly continues to grow. She has all the pregnancy symptoms, and she literally convinced herself, and her body responded to a fake pregnancy.
Like psychosomatic.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't think you can manifest stuff in your body and bring it into the physical plane, like, you're crazy.
Everything that happens physically to you is a result of what you're mentally feeding. Remember like the Jim Rose sideshow circus that toured with Lollapalooza, the kind of the freaks, the circus freaks and all, or you've seen like the people that will hang, they'll have like the piercings in their skin, and then they'll hang.
I dated a chick that was into suspension.
So, okay, those and this is a fucked up way to get to the same place, but like those, in order to do that, you have to tell your body that it doesn't hurt, because it does hurt. Pain is mental, you know, but you can turn it off. And so those people have learned to turn off pain. You know, I think, you know, there's athletes and stuff. Well, you know, anyone that's doing endurance stuff learns to they are controlling their physical state of being, and they can tell themselves, I'm not tired, you know, this doesn't hurt, you know, that's a positive use of the mind controlling the body. But the negative use would be like telling someone you have cancer, you've got, and I wish I could collectively at one time take my fist and drive it into the face of every medical professional that's ever looked another human being in the eyes and said, you have 3 months or 6 months to live. I mean, that is fucked.
They did it to my mom.
I mean, it, like, imagine again, anyone that's been a parent, or even a best friend, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, anyone that you care about, if you knew that person had a year to live, would you tell them?
Yeah, never.
Would you? I mean, I would. I wouldn't. I love my wife more than anything, but if I knew she was going to die tomorrow, I would live today with every fucking second of passion, and I would want her to pass as happy as she possibly could. Right. But I would never, would you tell your kid that they're going to die in 6 months if you knew that they were going to die? First of all, how could you even know that? How could
I'm 100% in agreement with you. It's so fucked. It's a
That's
mental,
like that old-
spiritual, physical attack.
That's like that old question, like, would you want to know, like, the day and the time and the method that you're going to die, right? Like, a lot of people would, and then a lot of people wouldn't. You know, it's just, I personally would not. But, I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to know.
Colby.
Yeah.
Colby, you want to know?
I'm dying tonight.
No.
Julia, you better make this my best fucking damn take and work.
Yeah, dude, it's that's deep.
It's like I said, it's like a mental, physical, spiritual attack on a person to say stuff like that and then subject them to months of, like, you just told me I have 6 months to live and you want fucking 4 of those months to be trying to save me so I can live a little bit longer with a bunch of toxic shit that makes me sick all the time, makes my teeth fall out, my hair fall out, and puking and all this. So if I have 6 months to live, you telling me I'm gonna spend half of those months fucking being chemically killed, basically, and then hopefully that prolongs it a little bit long. So I mean, I have a lot of theories on it, and also to kind of circle back to something we were talking about earlier with, like, you said if you wanted to attack Medford, Oregon, why would you, like, kill a bunch of people in a movie theater? The same thing exists in my mind when it comes to, like, it's so easy to kill people without doing all of that extra shit. All you got to do is put, like, a shit ton of parasites in somebody's, like, water supply or something like that. You've killed everybody at that point. You don't even have to, like, put your hands on them, which is why COVID was such an interesting tool that they used. But I mean, biological warfare is where it's at, not like bombs and explosions and shit.
No doubt. Which is why I think, you know, for the most part, you know, the terrorism isn't real. Terrorism is you know, it was part of that whole Terranoia campaign that 9/11 kicked off, and again, I'm glad that resonated because hopefully it resonates with others that are hearing this, because that's not how you'd, you know, even people are thinking, like, you know, I don't know, the whole thing with TikTok being a Chinese company, you know, they're taking all of your data, you know. Well, so is Fedbook and Meta and Amazon and Google. You know, it's like
Ryan could show you that TikTok isn't even Chinese owned.
Well, even if it was, who the fuck cares? And what is China's, like, the District of Columbia's biggest business partner? Do you think the powers that shouldn't be in China want anything to happen to the American public? No, that's their fucking bankroll. You know, that's their customer base. So I don't doubt that there are members of the Chinese government that have issues with members of other governments. But if you've got beef with wouldn't you attack that shit? You wouldn't. I'm Chinese terrorist and I'm mad at the U.S. government, so I'm going to go shoot up a shopping mall. That'll show them.
Right.
What? This doesn't even. That's not how gangsta shit works. And if there were real gangsters, they'd be taking care of business. And I'm sorry, but if terrorism was real, especially Middle Eastern terrorists, you know, I don't even want to disrespect the Middle East by saying that they're Middle Eastern terrorists, because they got bad aim. You know, stop aiming at shopping malls and marathons and these weird little off targets, and aim towards the district of criminals.
Yeah,
stuff there.
Well, yeah, and to think that they can pull that kind of stuff off, and then seeing how that war went with them. I mean, it's people throwing rocks and sticks at tanks and you know, massive guns and stuff. Like, they don't have the ability, I don't think, to really do that kind of stuff. You know, it like you're saying, John, it makes zero sense when you actually think about it for a second. But they use the fear and the, you know, American pride and all that stuff to combat that, I think. And then you don't think logically.
Yeah, and if I wanted to stoke some American pride and get them worked up, well, then I would just, you know, I'd get some MK Ultra goon to go shoot up a shopping mall and say that it was Russian terrorists, and then America's going to go down, Russian, kill their Russians, and it's how many false flags? I mean, like, it's just like, how many times have we seen stories of, like, you know, somebody spray painted the N-word on somebody's locker in school. Well, it was a black person that spray painted the N-word to make, to stoke the, or somebody spray painted a swastika on the, on the wall.
It's a rabbi.
It's just like,
yeah.
Like, again, that's not how gangster shit works.
But then they tell you too that if you're afraid, the terrorists win, right? If you're afraid of it. So it's like they're trying to get ahead of it like that.
Well, yeah, but again, the terrorists in that scenario would be the characters, and they've created these characters of terrorists, and in order to prop up that character storyline, you got to have some false flags events to prop it up, or the character of the terrorist doesn't do you much good.
Yeah, there's got to be the good guys and the bad guys, and the good guys.
You got to control them both.
What?
You got to create the good guys and the bad guys, and you have to be in control of them both.
Right. And the thing is, they say that the good guys are our American government and the bad guys are, the other governments and the other terrorists of the world. And it's okay to just be like thinking that, maybe there's just two assholes fighting and we don't really need to have a dog in the race. Right. Because I don't know, our government's not too much on the up and up, in my opinion. I think a lot of people share that sentiment there. But yeah, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's two assholes fighting whenever countries are going to war. There's no real good side.
I'll fight a war if it lands on my front doorstep, but I'm not really worried about that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, or even in the country, right? And I'm sure that you're getting at that same thing. Like if someone were to come here and directly threaten us and it's real, sure. I mean, I think a lot of people would fight. But
go ahead. Like think of a scenario where and I'm not totally being a smartass on this, but it is an open-ended question. Think of a scenario like what good to any foreign power would it be to take over? Let's just use the United States, to just take over the United States. Like what? Like round everybody up and put them in camps. Like what?
Yeah, the resources that shit takes to do that.
Yeah, what a pain in the ass. I mean, I live in a small little town. Just to round everybody up in this small little town would be a pain in the ass. You'd have to kill half of them because it wouldn't, no one would do anything. It'd be like, fuck out of here, I'm watching TV. The game's on. And then you'd have a bunch of dead bodies stinking and smelling the place up. So it's like, under what reasonable scenario would a foreign power come in and take over another country? They wouldn't take over the country. They may take over the administrative, the offices and all of that, but it would be to their advantage to have the people just not even know anything about that. Let the people go on about now they're really in charge. You know what I'm saying? You'd quietly take control of the actual control mechanism.
So do you think that the Yuri Bezmenov interview where he talked about all that in the early 80s, do you think there's something to that?
I'm not familiar.
So he was a Russian spy who he defected and he ended up here, and he went on the media circuit, and he was really the first one who brought into mainstream
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
You really were a Russian spy. And you defected. Of course, the next thing you would do is go on a media tour.
See, exactly. So that's the point I'm getting to. But he planted the seed that you don't use old school warfare anymore. You take a few decades to infiltrate every meaningful, influential institution. And he was warning them that was going to happen. And now there's people saying, look, it's happening. Look at Disney. Look at the colleges, which Disney and the colleges were always like that. And so I don't know. So do you think all that stuff's kind of fake Cold War shit? Just the whole back and forth with all that throughout the ages?
I would like to see an example of an actual military operation that was organic and necessary.
Well, what about the whole the taking of this country, like how it is now, like our ancestors? And I'm glad that they did it, to be clear. I'm not one of these people that's overly Native American sympathetic or anything. I got nothing against the people or nothing like that, but they came in here, white people came in here and took all that land and all the resources from the Native Americans. And that, as far as I'm aware, that's a real thing. That's not a fake thing. So I think that a foreign entity could want to do the same thing to us. it wouldn't be as easy as it was back then because it was basically people with guns fighting people with bows and arrows. But I mean, I think that there's always a reason that someone could want to take the resources in the land from us. You know, there's got to be. I mean, I can't justify it in my mind because, like you said, John, it'd be a pain in the ass. And there's a lot of guns here. There's more guns than people. I think a lot of the people that talk tough about their guns, they wouldn't use it because they can't even run a fucking mile. You know, and you need to be a little bit physically fit to actually fight a war. But, you know, I think that it could happen. I don't think it will, but I think it's possible, you know, and I think that there would be motives for outside entities to want to do that.
There's always going to be turf wars, always. But again, back to the gangsta thing. It's like when there's gang turf wars, they're controlling a certain aspect of that area. They're not controlling that area in totality, you know? And
so it's like a subversion type thing instead of an invasion.
Well, I mean, if I, you know, if I was a foreign, you know, if I was a foreign entity and I wanted to I want to do a land grab. I wanted someone else's turf. I don't think that I would have any, illusions of grandeur that I'm going to go in and I'm going to completely clear everything out. And now I'm going to have this piece of land for me to do with whatever I want. Because again, I'd have to kill everybody, burn everything. I mean,
that's good for the soil. Dead bodies are good for the soil, you know?
Well, yeah, perhaps, but it sure seems like I don't know why a foreign entity would want to come onto U.S. soil and put people in camps and round them up. And I mean,
all right, John, do you think World War II narrative is at all?
I don't think any of the World War narratives are as it. I stand by my statement. I'd like to see an example of a military action ever in history that was, or in current modern history that was both organic and necessary.
We still have a body count to deal with. I just don't think it's as they made it out to be.
Well, it's like 9/11, like he was talking earlier. I mean, obviously people die when, I mean, I always thought, just from my own like base of research, that eugenics, everything that was thought of and conceived and eventually tried, took place maybe in some camps in that era in Europe, but it was probably us doing it. Paperclip was just trying to hide the trail of like, yeah, it's been us all along, and we'll continue to do it, like you talked about with the COVID experiments, all that stuff. Like, they do it out in the open, and then they might like come up with the boogeyman. But like, I mean, the fact that we can't even talk about Holocaust like possibilities that aren't.
There you go. I mean, if you anything that you're told you can't talk about, you're onto something. And there are people in the case of Holocaust Incorporated, there are people in jail for talking about Holocaust Incorporated. I just add the ink on the end of it because it clearly was another initiative.
You could add a trademark or a copyright to it too, probably, right? Did you just mention eugenics, Colby? I was looking something up while you were talking.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, the eugenics that the Nazis were supposedly studying on all the Jews. I think that was mainly a think tank in Long Island or something like that came up with that.
Well, we know that the U.S. was heavily involved with the Nazis, right? And potentially still are. But yeah, there's euthenics too. And that's what I was looking up because I remember the term. I just forgot what it was. And eugenics is about future generations, and euthenics is about the current generation, trying to speed that process up. So, and that's another one of those cosmic terms, the cosmism terms. So yeah, it's just, dude, I feel like a lot of these words get thrown around and it's more of a distraction because the COVID stuff seemed like it was more euthenics than eugenics. It was very current. It's gone now, but it was focusing on the present time, and it was very, very like short term. It wasn't thinking about long term stuff with COVID and eugenics. But yeah, euthenics.
Do you think it could have possibly been both? Because
sure.
I think I've read a couple of articles and stuff on it just because I'm into it and also worried about
You're
myself.
into it, huh?
But
You're into eugenics?
no. Well, I could be.
Gotta watch how you say that.
I could be, but I've seen like a lot of women who are either having a bunch of miscarriages or not able to get pregnant at all following getting the jab. And
that would be eugenics.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could possibly be both. I mean, like, it could be playing the short game and the long game because, like, now women are having a very difficult time conceiving, and there's, like, this outrageous number of women getting diagnosed with PCOS. I happen to be one of those people, but I'm not saying that's like, oh, I have PCOS, so I'm a victim, and I'm fucking... I didn't get the jab, so it could be totally unrelated, but I just think it's crazy how people aren't putting those two things together. Like,
I think the whole COVID thing was, I think, multifaceted. I don't think it was about one particular thing. I think it was pretty well thought out in advance. Look to event, 201, still on YouTube. Did you get your little COVID plushie? Remember they gave those out for attending the event? I've seen them. I've seen them.
The merch from the COVID era. I want to have some of that just for when I'm old and I can look back. There was Anthony Fauci pillows. There was wild stuff.
The Saint Fauci bobblehead.
Oh my God! Just the merch.
Yeah, I think it was multifaceted. There was definitely some population control aspects to it, with the infertility and then just the death. There was definitely some experimentation aspect to it with like the 5G technology and the nanotechnology. I think there was some geopolitic aspects to it, how it affected current events that were going on at the time worldwide. I think let's never forget that this event had full and here's the, I don't know if you can see this, but probably not. That
Slay. Dutch government official admits COVID pandemic was military operation.
Ministry of Health obeys NATO. They were taking all of their cues from NATO. So NATO, I don't know. You say all roads lead to Rome. I think you could say a lot of roads lead to NATO as well. So it was a NATO. COVID was a NATO operation, admitted by the Dutch government, all but admitted to by the U.S. government in that 520-page thing that just came out last week. I don't think it was just about one thing. I think they got a lot out of it. It's like, it's the gift that'll keep on giving, just like 9/11 was the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, that's why I say biowarfare is really where it's at. If we were playing the Illuminati card game, I'm going biowarfare on all y'all asses. Every time I'll win fucking every game with biowarfare.
How do you even play that game though? Do we know how to play that game?
My mom got it for me for Christmas after I did an episode on predictive programming. That game kept coming up. I have it. I've never played it. It seems really stupid.
It's an expensive game, man. That's a great gift.
It's based on the Illuminatus trilogy, Robert Anton Wilson, which is one of the coolest books ever written. I don't know what he was or what he was trying to say, but it's like, it's a fucking murder mystery with the Illuminati, and it's got telepathic dolphins and CIA assets.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it came out in the 70s.
But aren't you supposed to, like, the point to win is, like, whatever your strategy is, out-strategizes the other person? Or
yeah, I mean,
like
it's a tabletop. It's like Monopoly with, like, secret societies. And...
So my strategy is biowarfare on all y'all asses.
We should get together sometime and play the game on here, and you can just, like, have the hands. So. That'd be fun, man.
That would be awesome. I played a card game with Ryan. Oh God, was it last year for New Year's?
Oh yeah, it was like a trivia thing, though, wasn't it, or no?
Oh yeah, it was. I think it was a trivia thing, but it was all
like
stuff.
Jeopardy. It was kind of like Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And John, you mentioned 5G, man. Do you think 5G is real? I'm convinced it's fake.
I don't know if 5G in particular is real or fake, but I am a huge believer in frequencies and and the resulting vibration.
Sure.
I do know that frequencies cause vibration, and through frequencies, physical matter can be manipulated. And so I have done some real life experimentation just because of my wife's situation. I take the topic of radiation very seriously. So anything that has an electrical current running through it radiates.
Okay.
So we are constantly, like right now, we're all baking in radiation. There's wires in our walls, ceiling, floor. I mean, we're just baking in radiation. Now, not all radiation is quote unquote deadly, but all radiation, there's always a cause and effect. And, you can, I don't know if you've ever seen, the Chladni plates. Those the vibrating plates where it's like a speaker and it's got a metal plate on it, and they'll put some sort of sand.
Oh, salt or something.
And then the different frequencies arrange the salt in geometric patterns.
Yep.
Okay, so there's proof positive that frequencies can manipulate physical matter. So, whatever, call it 5G, for whatever name they want to put on it, you can manipulate life through frequencies. And we've got, you never, ever see birds hanging out on those cell towers ever, because they know better. They don't want to go fucking near that. And if you look around, like I live in a fairly rural area, and so I can go up to the areas where the cell towers are. You don't even, the actual plant life changes around the base of those things too. You don't see the same. You step back a couple more 100 feet and you see it starts to grow again. Like stuff starts to grow. So whatever frequencies are coming off of those things, they are, they're antibiotic. They're, biotic means life, and whatever the frequencies are, they're anti-life.
Yeah, I guess I should have been more clear, like 5G relating to phones. Because that's the part that I think is completely fake. But I agree that there could be some very harmful frequency coming from these things, because I've seen, what you're talking about there, where the biology around these things is different.
So what better way than to put a bunch of these fucking whatever they're for and just say, yeah, that's for your phones,
right?
Because then we'll just accept that.
Yeah,
see,
faster internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm kind of with you on. I wouldn't just say that the topic of 5G is fake. I think the whole telecommunication narrative is fake, all the way up to the topic of satellites. I don't see it. I mean, I think what people think of as satellites is actually the Google Loon program, where those high altitude, atmosphere balloons that are hanging those, what they're called. I mean, there's tons of footage of those things being launched.
Oh, the Satelloons?
Yeah. Satelloons, exactly. And I think that how about this? I'd like to go, why don't they incorporate the technology that they used for the moon landing? Because, man, they had perfect they never lost signal. Ever. Never lost signal. Shit, I lose signal talking to somebody 5 miles away. So let's go back to whatever that was, which didn't exist, because that whole narrative didn't exist. But I'm just being an asshole with that. But no, I think the whole telecommunications and satellites and 5G and all of that stuff is just another example of it's not what they say it is.
Well, isn't that kind of like multi-layered though? Because you'd first have to believe space is real. Then you'd have to believe that it's not a fucking vacuum, and that when you got into it, you didn't just like crush like a tin can once you got up there. Then you have to believe like somebody could actually pass through the Van Allen belts and not get roasted in their fucking seat. And like, there's so many layers to that. I don't know what the fuck I am these days. Flat Earth, round Earth, snow globe. I don't know. But if I was gonna choose a camp, I would probably pick a flat plane with like some type of dome, whether it doesn't have to be a solid dome, but even like like I said before, like the Van Allen belts that they've said exist and you can't pass through them and shit like that. I don't know where you are on it, but the whole idea of satellites and, you know, all this
that's
just
I mean,
so fucking retarded.
if space was real, the Vatican would not have had to have commissioned Copernicus to come up with that whole thing in the first place, because there wasn't anything until they paid him to craft that narrative. But and then of course, flash forward to modern day, the Vatican controls all of the, you know, observatories, you know, worldwide. So
they have one here, John. They have a observatory at the U of A, which is the big university here in Tucson. And it's not at the U of A, but the U of A is a co-owner with the
on
Vatican.
Mount Graham.
Yeah, the Lucifer telescope.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's wild to think.
Yeah, I grew up in Tempe, so I spent a ton of time in Tucson.
That's right. I remember you said that last time we talked. Yeah, dude. I mean, just the idea of the Vatican owning a telescope and then choosing to name it Lucifer should tell you everything that you need to know.
That's just an acronym, Ryan. It's just an acronym.
That's right.
It's purely coincidental. Large, whatever the fuck they said it was. But no, they, you know, again, it's that whole, they've created, that's a character. Space is a character, and you gotta, it's to their advantage to get you invested in that character.
Ooh,
and
John, I got one for you. I just fucking thought of it, and you're gonna love this shit too. I did a whole episode on John Denver, and it's crazy because now we can tie the Laurel Canyon and NASA and fake space all together, because he was supposed to be on the Challenger.
And Tranny too, because
John Denver, shut the fuck up.
I think it was correct. It was Joan Denver.
Joan?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Do me a favor, like as soon as we're done here, pull up some, because we're talking about jawlines and stuff. Pull up some pictures of him and do like
Denver. Really
look at John Denver now through those same eyes, because I think I think Joan Denver had a vajayjay.
Oh my god. Well, you know, I fucking love him whether he's a train.
Oh yeah, no, fantastic music. No doubt.
Yeah, fantastic music. But what do you think about that?
Joan.
He was supposed to be on the fucking Challenger that exploded, and then he wrote that fucking song like they were flying for me and like all this weird shit. Then he actually did die in a fucking airplane accident, supposedly. Colby thinks he could still be alive.
Well, now I think he is still alive.
He was friends with presidents. He was part of the board for NASA. He like had all these weird space connections.
Yeah. She and Petty have an island in Fiji right now that occasionally Bowie and Prince come over. They'll kind of jam, and I think they're opening for Oasis in 2025. So
Tom Petty's not a tranny, is he?
No, gosh, no, God. No, please.
Okay. Don't tell me that, because I mean, I'm still going to listen to its music, but I told you.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm a fucking Saint Petty, man. I love that. I love that dude.
Yeah, dude. We were outside. We had a campfire the other night in the front yard, and I took some shrooms, and I just put it on Apple Music and clicked the first song, and you can just listen through. Just listen through it, and every one of those damn songs is.
Have you seen the 4-hour documentary?
No.
Oh, dude, it's first of all, if you're a documentary guy, I'm a documentary geek, which is why I love the fact that you turned me on to realdocumentaries.com. But go and watch the time. It's an investment. It's over 4 hours long, but it is, man. I loved not just Petty, but every one of the Heartbreakers. Each one. I mean, Mike Campbell is a guitar hero of mine, and like you will love them times 10 after this documentary. Like, okay. He was after watching that. I used to think that Petty pieced out, just retired and pieced out. But after watching that documentary, I've watched it 3 or 4 times. He was a tough motherfucker. He was not someone who was told what to do, and I think they may have taken care of him for not playing along.
I love what he told Stevie Nicks when she wanted to be part of the Heartbreakers, and he's like, "There's no women in the Heartbreakers." It's awesome. He's awesome. But yeah,
okay.
I'll have to find it. You happen to know the name off the top of your head?
Here, I'll find it for you. Hang on.
Because yeah, I'll watch that shit. I'll start it tonight.
Ryan, in 4 hours you could watch 8 South Park episodes.
I know, that's the problem.
Got to quantify it there. I think Tom Petty's worth sacrificing some South Park hours.
Yeah, I will. I don't watch much TV, but when I do, it's usually something stupid like South Park or Sons of Anarchy lately. Great show.
Called Running Down a Dream.
Running Down a Dream, it's called? Okay.
Also, hold that thought.
Running Down a Dream. But yeah, dude, these are always fun episodes, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a nerd with like autographs and stuff. I need to try and find some autographs of that dude. I'm sure that they're expensive, but I got all kinds of autographs of random things.
Man, Mike Campbell just came through Nashville not that long ago with his band, and I couldn't get there, playing a pretty small place, and it was one of those places where like you pretty much guaranteed you're going to get to say hi, and I actually just saw in that same place a week or so ago. I don't know if any of y'all are NXS fans.
Oh yeah,
huge NXS fan, and Andrew Ferris, they're the three Ferris brothers that pretty much did all the music, and Michael Hutchins wrote the words. But Andrew Ferris, of those three brothers, he wrote 90% of NXS songs, and he did a just real quiet little gig here in Nashville about a week and a half ago, and I bet you there was 75 people there, and I right before he started, I went and used the bathroom, and the bathroom was way far at the other end of the place, and it was empty anyways. And so I'm in there by myself, and I'm washing my hands, and out of the stall comes Andrew. It's just me and him in this big cavernous lonely bathroom, and I kind of had a little like starstruck moment. I was like, dude, this is really uncomfortable, and I'm not going to want to shake. I know you don't want to shake hands, but. I'm blessed to be here, and it's just an honor to get to see you. And he was like, all right, man. He's like, I'll give you a left-handed handshake. And he, in his great Australian accent, and fantastic.
How funny.
So you get to see like the greats just walking around sometimes in Nashville? Because I love country music, so just curious.
The cool thing about Nashville is, good, bad, or otherwise, there are so many like just legendary people. It's not a big deal to see someone. Now, if you're new to the area, it is. But for the people that have lived here a while, it's not. And I used to. Do you remember Tower Records? The store Tower Records, big huge record store chain. Anyways, I used to manage one back in the day here in Nashville. And Garth Brooks used to come in on the regular. And
he's from Oklahoma. That my sister lives in his city. Mm-hmm. They have Garth Brooks shit everywhere.
Yeah, and he's also got a residence up in Hendersonville here north of Nashville. And but his main residence is he's Oklahoma based. But he's in Nashville quite a bit. And
there's a theory that he's like a fucking serial killer or something.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Tom Segura started that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Probably the real serial. He's the smiley face killer.
Yeah, it's interesting. He got pegged on that. Yet Dolly Parton can fund the MAGA jabs, and she gets away scot free.
That's a soft serial killing.
Yeah, that's corporately sponsored serial killing.
You told me on the last time the three of us got together, you talked about running into Johnny Cash there near the end of his life at that record store.
Yeah, oh yeah, he coupled. In fact, Johnny Cash's daughter Roseanne Cash, she was married to Rodney Crowell, another country music power couple of the 70s, and they had 3 daughters, and one of their daughters, so that would be Johnny's granddaughter, had some problems earlier in life with some substance abuse and all, and was getting her life back together. And Johnny asked us at the store if we could put her to, give her a, because he'd come in quite a bit, and I think he liked the vibe there, and he certainly knew the people, and I think semi-trusted the people, and he wanted his granddaughter to kind of get back on her feet, and so he asked if we could hire her. And so we hired her and put her to work, and she and I ended up writing some music together and spending some time out, at what John and at the time John and June were both still alive, and went out there to their place. And no, the Cash family is an interesting. There's been a lot of turmoil in that family. But Johnny was always just a real kind of a grandfathery type, just a sweet, towering grandfather of a guy,
Well, do you think, because like we obviously talk about Laurel Canyon, but I'm sure there's a Laurel Canyon of the country music scene with Johnny Cash and like Jerry Lee Lewis and all them.
And there's my God,
probably a Laurel Canyon of like 90s country too, if I'm just being honest. And I love 90s country, but I'm sure some of them assholes were up to fucking no good, but nobody really ever talks about it because country is supposed to be like the good Christian, clean. Yeah. But I'm sure it's just as convoluted as Laurel Canyon if you really dug into it.
Yeah. And there's, I think that any mainstream entertainment brand or cast of characters has got shenanigans attached to it.
Because wasn't Elvis, didn't he come out of Memphis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
think a lot of it comes from the rock scene more, and it's more high profile because that's the counterculture. Like rock and roll is supposed to be counterculture, right? And I don't think country music is supposed to be so much, at least back then, right? Like rock was getting a little, like it started off a little bit weird, right? Like we even going back to the Beatles, like everyone was like, oh no, you shouldn't be listening to this stuff. It was like completely different music that you're supposed to be listening to.
Well, now that now the country artists of today are super counterculture, like Beyonce and Post Malone.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You had me for a second there, but yeah, I mean, dude, even like Jelly Roll, right? Like Jelly Roll, this dude, Jelly Roll is like meant to be counterculture, and I don't think he really is. I love.
No, he's Jelly Roll's from here. In fact,
Jelly Roll.
A guy that lives not too far from my little town. He was actually the guy that found Jelly Roll and kind of got him on his way. But no, he's there is a good example of someone who I can tell you at least at this point that was a real person.
No, I think he is, but yeah, it's interesting that's kind of what the counterculture is right now.
He's getting wrapped up in like the Kill Tony Trump movement.
I was gonna say I don't think he gets off scot-free, even though a lot of people are on like the "We Love Jelly Roll" thing right now.
Yeah,
but it's the flavor of you're supposed to like it. Like it's one of the things that's that was very, very the powers behind that brand gonna make that a major brand. That was the deal that he signed on for.
Yeah, man, I think that dude is like a practicing magician of some kind. Like he's very familiar with like energies, and because I watched his documentary, it was on Hulu. It was a big major thing. But like I said, I don't get emotional about much at all, and I almost cried a couple of times watching this dude talk to people, just because he's very good at like manipulating emotion. You can hear one of his songs, and me and my dad loves him, so we went and saw him and someone else. I forget who it was. They just toured not too long ago, and yeah, man, he's got a powerful voice. I mean, but yeah, when that dude talks to people and like you sit there and you see him crying, it makes you want to join him and just cry with him for no reason, and it's fucking weird, man.
He's a perfect vessel.
Yeah, the ability to vessel's a good word. But the ability to connect with people, that's a special ability, and people that have it and want to get into public work, entertainment in particular, the ones that are really, really good at it, they're the ones that the powers that shouldn't be are going to come a calling at some point, and they're going to want to have a talk,
but not Ice Cube.
Please no, not Ice Cube and not Tom Petty. Let's. Well,
I thought it was very poetic and ironic that we all kind of agreed that like Morrissey's all we got now.
I just saw Morrissey. About a month ago. So good. Oh, I was like a 14-year-old girl at that show. I was so fucking happy to be there. He's so awesome, man. What an awesome, sassy old queen he is.
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know who that is. Who is
So
that?
you know the Smiths, they're saying like, is it called How Soon Is Now? Their big hit.
Oh, they've had so many. Yeah, Queen is dead.
I mean,
I probably if I heard it, man, to be honest, but yeah, I do not know who that is off the top.
Spotify the Smiths, but he's got quite a huge solo career as well. But
way back in the early '80s, there was this band called the Smiths, and they were pretty big. All the kids loved them back then.
I love Johnny Marr too, like that fucking guitar. I mean, he joined Modest Mouse and changed their sound, but yeah.
About a year and a half ago, my wife and I went and saw the Killers. And I do not like going and seeing arena shows, but we saw the Killers, and Johnny Marr opened up for them.
Oh, nice.
And half of the set was Smith songs. And it was, I have to admit, as an old dude, it was pretty awesome listening to an arena full of people sing those songs, you know. And there's nobody in the crowd that was under the age of 40, you know. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Those concerts are probably some of the best, though.
Well, guys, we're creeping up past 2.5 hours. I'll go around the house here. Any closing thoughts or stuff you wanted to interject earlier that you weren't able to? I'll start with ladies first. I'll start with Julia, then we'll go Ryan, and then we'll close out with John.
I don't really have anything else about some of the topics we were talking about, but I do want John to come on my show because I feel like we could really get down on some healthcare stuff. And yeah, I think we could talk more in depth in another episode just on like health stuff because it really interests me. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I have been looking into a lot of stuff myself, especially like I said with my mom having cancer, and I have a ton of theories that I would love to run past you on some of that. So hopefully we can.
You say the word. I'm a little shy and it's hard to get me to talk, but once you know.
But yeah, I know I have really enjoyed our conversation today. I think it was a great time.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Conversation.
I agree with everything that Julia said as far as the conversation being great. It's always nice to connect with you, Colby, and then John, you know, only talking about once a year, but, you know, two years in a row, and it's been awesome both times. It's
maybe we should make it more like 6 months next time.
Yeah. I mean,
have one of these in the summer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very fun, and yeah, I learned a lot talking to both of you guys, and then obviously Julia too. Learned a lot talking with you, and yeah, I'm not doing as much content these days, but we do the weekly news show. Me and my friend Ghost from my Third Eye podcast. People send in clips, and we share those and talk about them. Usually talk about some food and some other bullshit, and it's just kind of a chill little chat that we have.
Are you going to say what the show is called?
It's Conspiracy Underground News Team. You know, you can
say it.
You know, the acronym is CUNT. Conspiracy Underground News Team. It's the show called CUNT. Everyone loves it. But yeah, I'm looking into getting into more episodes. I'm actually working on a Disturbing Toys episode. You know that there's a company called Lissy that made a 9/11 Pez dispenser type thing.
Oh my God!
It's two towers and a plane. There's all kinds of fucked up toys that are out there, and so I'm getting into that, trying to get back into doing like the solo content more and more. So,
and what's that show called, Ryan?
You can find me at Dangerous World Podcast.
Dangerous World.
You're so modest with your plugs, dude.
Yeah, well, I don't do as much these days, man. I've really been. I used to do like 4 or 5 episodes a week, and now I'm just doing the one. So I'm trying to get back more into it because the ad revenue's gone down and all that stuff. So I'm trying to break back in more. So we'll get there.
You can hit me up anytime, Ryan.
Cool. Yeah, I will.
Do shows together.
Yeah, that's always fun. So yeah,
this is
thank
her
you.
Full-time job now.
Mm-hmm.
She's a podcast addict.
Yep.
That's dope. That is fun. Yeah, no, I will definitely hit you up soon, Julia.
All right, John. Last but certainly not least, wrap it up in a pretty little bow and plug anything you got going these days.
Well, I'm not here to plug anything in particular. I just always appreciate the conversation, and I think I think it is I would ask the listeners and the viewers, those that have hung in this far, first of all, thank you. Secondly, a lot of times when you hear people talking about the topics like we talked about on this episode, some of this stuff is so it might sound matter of fact, but I want more people. I'd like to get rid of the word conspiracy, because the word conspiracy in and itself is a conspiracy. I mean, that wasn't even really used until the JFK Zapruder film thing. But anyways, it's showbiz. It's showbiz, and these are actors, and they're being paid to do a job, and they're doing that job. And be more open to the fact that actors exist, and these narratives are storylines, and they are being paid to do what they're told. And you might think that that's conspiratorial, but being an actor is a trade that's been around for a long time, and it's not going anywhere. And there will always be actors, there will always be storylines, and as long as people are glued to their screens and electronic devices and taking their cues from those screens and those electronic devices, that's really what most people's view of the world is what their screens and their electronic devices are telling them. And these aren't sovereign devices. These devices they're made by companies. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what they're allowing you to see, what they're allowing you to hear. And just be, I don't know. Again, I'd like to get rid of the use of the word conspiracy. And
do you think I should change the name of my show?
No, because that's a good use. That's a good use.
Showtime, playtime.
Because it pulls in the right audience. But when we're talking about like things like, the Taylor Swift that was on stage the other night might not be the original Taylor Swift. That's not conspiratorial. That's showbiz. That's showbiz. And anyone that's run a business and had to deal with employees knows that you've got shifts to cover, and you've got positions that need filled, and you've got tasks that need to be done. And it works good when you find willing participants who are good at their job and willing to do that job. And it's no different in the entertainment industry. And if it's coming off of your screens, it's all entertainment.
Well, Colby is a crisis actor. He plays a great rape victim.
There's probably a backstory to that we don't know.
I don't know that I want to know the backstory to that, but he's smiling. So let's just leave it at that.
I'm curious about the backstory myself.
Sounds like you might be the backstory.
MK Ultra sponsored conspiracy playtime. So John, you don't want to plug anything? I'm not going to force you.
No, I'll tell you what.
What are you up to?
If you can see the screen, you see the naturallybetterforyou.com URL. That is that is pure health and wellness knowledge share right there. So we're not talking about the shape of the earth or Taylor Swift stand-ins or any of that kind of stuff there. It's pure health and wellness. And when I am not diving down rabbit holes, which I love to do, and because of some of the rabbit holes I've dug down, my heart is in health and wellness. I want to see my wife get better. I want to see other people who have problems not to turn to the medical industrial complex. We know not to look to the fast food industry for our nutrition. Well, I would like to get people in the mindset that the medical industrial complex is kind of like the fast food industry of health and wellness. And so if we know to stay away from fast food, well, stay away from fast food. And so if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, go to naturallybetterforyou.com. And that's kind of what I do with my spare time. Just I try. There's some good people that I'm involved with there. There's a good community of people and a huge knowledge share. And we want to see everybody live a better life naturally. And so if that resonates with you, go there. But that's about as much of a pitch as I care to do.
All right. Well, that's all we want here. And I think that angle I mean, it's not conspiratorial necessarily, but we all know about the medical industrial complex. Ryan and John both use those terms. And I think, yeah, steering more people towards what you got going on over there is very important.
Or you know what? It's been said many times. Your medicine cabinet is actually your kitchen. So start taking that seriously. Yeah, I don't know why people choose to offload the responsibility of their health and wellness to a corporate government entity, but it could start in your kitchen. There's your medicine cabinet. Start taking it seriously. And I hope that we get to a place someday soon where people walk into your average American grocery store, and I hope they're offended by what they see. Because all it is like food porn. It's just sugar and carbs and crap and gross seed oils and shit. There's hardly anything edible inside most grocery stores. It's not food, it's feed. And food is stuff in its natural form, and it's hard to find some natural stuff even in the best grocery stores. Even in the produce section, try and find produce that hasn't been sprayed with shit or grown in toxic chemically shit or packaged in shit. I mean, it's the only tomato you can trust is the tomato that you or somebody you knew grew, and so eat those tomatoes. Don't buy them from corporate sources,
Well said.
Amen to that. Well, I'm going to end this recording. Thank you, conspiracy players. Be sure to wash behind your ears and grow your own tomatoes, and I think everything will be all right.